that Moisar, and welcome to another live reading. Our scroll for today will be Actual Fact, series number 49, entitled Freaks and the Perfect Creature. Let's try it in our Lahaj. Munmaku wu pa tamim mukpai. All right. So before we get started reading, we're just going to take a moment, just do a quick breathing exercise, acknowledge our master teacher, and get right into our scrolls. All right. So let's start by standing up. All right. We're going to stand up so we can acknowledge our anatomy. And we're going to ask ourselves through our breath, am I in the image of natural nature or unnatural nature? All right. So as we're reading this scroll, we're going to see the importance of the breath as well. All right. So are you respecting your design as nature intended? Start with your posture. All right. So when you breathe in, you want to start with your nose. All right. And you want to relax your stomach so your diaphragm, which is a big muscle, all right, can descend downward. And it acts like a vacuum, all right, pulling air into the lungs from down, out. And as you keep inhaling, the stomach will start going in because that's the air being pulled up. So it looks like this, the breath. All right. And when you get to the full expansion of your full potential of your lungs, you're going to hold the breath for a moment because that's you absorbing the serpent, all right, called the life force, which is very abundant in the air around us. You'll see natural races they have an awareness of this energy. You will see Orientals, they'll call it Shi or Chi. You will see Indians or Hindus call it prana, all right? We call it Septem, all right? That's the counterpart of oxygen. And we pull on that natural ether energy, all right? That's the natural ether energy that we're pulling on, all right? So when you say Samai, you're saying complete union, which we know that our nose is one of our gateways between our physical and our etherical world or our ether body, all right? So you can do a lot for your etherical self right here on the physical side, all right? So by doing these exercises, you're aligning yourself, all right? Coming at one. And as you feel yourself being more in complete union with yourself, you feel yourself being in complete union with the all right? And you feel yourself being at peace as the outer reality is really an indicator of what's going on internally, all right? So we start with the all expanding breath, and we picture the powered symbol, and we're going to say, Apta Paa Taraq Ravuk Yaanun. Apta Paa Baabaa Yaanun, which says, open the way to the soul, the spark of life, the breath of life of Yaanun. Open the door towards him. And you're breathing that love, support, and healing Ashuk from Paa Taraq. And you exhale that same love, support, healing, and Ashuk for your fellow brothers and sisters. And you're going to assess, where am I physically? What's going on with my body? Feel your shoulders relax and come down. Feel your posture straighten up. Because if you're slouching and you try to take a deep breath, it's hard to take a deep breath when you're slouching. In actuality, it's impossible because it's going to impede the movement, all right? All right, so you want to put yourself back in alignment with natural nature so your body can do what it was designed to do, all right? Are you leaning one side? Is your pants sagging? If you notice your pants are sagging, you're going to adjust your body to keep your pants up, and you're going to be walking like this, like a primate, all right? So you want to feel yourself come in alignment, all right? And if you suffer with slouching, focusing on your breath automatically helps to correct your posture. All right. If you're crossing your legs, uncross it. All right. And just breathe. And that's the smart breath. All right. So there's 3 other breaths that Bible says to do every day. That's very helpful. All right. That's your cleansing breath. All right. But you want to take time to perfect your basic smile. You do your cleansing breath, which helps ventilate the lungs. All right. Refresh it. You want to also do the nerve revitalizing breath, the nervous system. All right. That's the seat of our will, our very will to exist. It's all in your nervous system because you need your nervous system for your very heartbeat. You need your nervous system to process information, whether it's internal information or external information and stimuli. All right. So from outformation to information and from information back to outformation. That's all the nervous system. All right. So you hear revitalization. All right. Vitality, bringing life into the nervous system. All right. That'll help with your willpower as well. All right. And then the other breath that Bible says is the vocal breath. All right. Which is very important as we take our stories back. We're telling our own story. All right. And the vocal breath helps with the flexibility. All right. Because a lot of times the very structures get rigid. So that's what the vocal breath helps with. So when you have time, just read the breath book on your own. We're going to skip over those exercises for the purpose of time constraints. All right. So everything that I mentioned, I read in Baaba's scroll, in various scrolls. All right. And living life. All right. The confirmations of living life and seeing things play out. So let's acknowledge our master teacher who brings us all together for the purpose of our shook to renew our story as one people, one soul. And as we acknowledge our master teacher who sits at the center of this divine circle of our shook as our Zeti, who brings us all together like our nucleus, we are acknowledging ourselves. And then while we're acknowledging ourselves, we're acknowledging each other automatically. Abdul Cloud Tapolorat, Wufa, Cord, Bisamus, Papaut. Begin all prayers and thinking by using the all expanding. Start with yourself. Your first reality is you. And start with your breath as the all expanding breath. Take a deep breath in and hold it. Feel the support, love, Ashuk from Panadaru. And exhale that same love, support, and Ashuk for your fellow brothers and sisters. That is poets, high poets in poets. Baror, 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 nabab nadar mukdad. Naut mukdad badet patah. Naut muklas badet yanun. Holy, holy, holy. Meaning the whole picture, the whole story, the holy seed, all the way back from the very forces that it grew from. All expanding gases, the holy, holy seed. Nabab Nadar Muqdad, Master Overseer Almighty. The very forces of natural nature and us as one people. Nahut Muqdad Badet Patah. Nahut Muklas Badet Yanun. No God except Patah. Why? Because Patah is the very idea and the very principle and the very movement of opening. Ashuk is the key, but it is you who opens the door. And as we breathe through our miktah, as we spark our miktah, which is a thing of opening, we become one who opens as a muktah. So open the door because the helping hand is at the end of your own arm. And we take responsibilities for our life and our fate. No savior except Yanun because Notice that door is inward, and we cannot lie to ourselves. I affirm that I am inside the divine love of the all expanding, and all divine love is in me. Paa Taraq. Anuki Jawef Pa Ashuk and Pa Paut. Wu Kalal Ashuk Kawun Jawef Niya. Anuki Kasamun and Pa Paut. Wu Pa Paut Kawun Kasamun and Niya. Anuki Wahu Ame Pa Paut. Wu Pa Paut Kawun Wahu Ame Niya. Nakuk Kadod Naja Ame Kasam Em Pa Paut. Wu Khabub Ame Mushkas Nakuk Kadod Kawan Kalau Pafef Nakuk Ayod Jawef Pa Paut. Ame wase ame ayani kawun lake bako jawef Pa Paut. Anuki abed bi nafashni. Pa Paut kawun anuki. Pa Paut kador nakuk kador. Pa Paut amul nakuk amul. All right, for the purpose of this scroll, sometimes we just chant some of the chants. We're going to chant all the chants that can relate to the scroll that we're going to read. And we're going to chant Lahehum Manehnum, because we're acknowledging that they are with me, they are with you all, they are with us, and they are inside of me. We're talking about the very forces of natural nature. As children of our overseers are the very forces of natural nature. And we are reminding ourselves that they are me and I am them. Lahehum Manehnu Antum Ate Karehum Antum ate karekum. Antum ate karenu. Antum ate jewef niya. Antum ate niyawu anukiwu. Ya ye al shukreye. Ashmu jayehnu. Ya ye nataru aufuknu. Nahun atir nukrarukum. Ya ye nataru aufuknu. Aufuknun. Aufuknun. Ya ye nataru nun. Anun. Atum. Atum. Amu. You're going to acknowledge also at the end of that chant that all the phases of Reye, you're still here through the rising and the setting, from the high noon to where everything is in formation. We're still here through all the good times and bad times. All right, we're still here as the very forces of natural nature, as their children, embodied, all right, solidified. And we're going to also remind ourselves and ask our ancestors, all right, our divine ancestors, to guard us from the wicked ones that has infiltrated the hearts, minds, and souls and the bodies of the very people, all right, to guard us, all right, and keep us from becoming changed and mutated away from natural nature. Keep us in your image, Paa Taraq, as your children. Tapalo Talu. Yaya Nataru Muslafunun. Afuznun maneh pa mudradu. Afuznun maneh kahlan. Yaya Nataru Afuznun. Manessa yor gayora. Afuznun. Afuznia. Afuznun. Afuznia. Yaya Natarunun. The very forces of natural nature, those are our overseers. And we seek protection from the cursed Dragonians who has infiltrated our genetics, who has infiltrated the very hearts, souls, minds, and the very airways and frequencies of the people. And all my chants and all my prayers are for a certainty to natural nature, Hanadaru. Patat Moy, the protection. Nakuk Taluk Tap Moy Biye Panataru. Maneh Pala in Lawitananu. Kalaramatni Atelahe Panataru. Mukalata Poloratni Atelahe Kayariatum Laye Panataru. And we thank you, Paa Taraq, for not forgetting us. And we thank you for the divine love. You are our ancestors, and we are you all's children, and we seek you all's help. And we thank you for incarnating for this day in time, through us, for us, from us, by us, sent to us, our very own master teacher, Baabaa Yaanun, living and breathing like us, as an example of our shook and everything that we can be. And we accept our master teacher, and we accept this book. We acknowledge that this book is the truth and the way. Hanin mispa kawun, ha sawabu Paa Taraq, ze kawuna na zulala he amskum. Manemas patu masaa, ama hade amumuda ma'u. Manemus lafukum, munataru. Arjulaye nafashukum, alfukshane kawunkum. Pa sawabu Paa Taraq, pa hadeamu padama. Nahun tawuanskum, lahir panenda malhu shafe. Nahun tawuanskum, lahitem nasoinu. Nahun tawuanskum, lahir ashakuma. Anskuma ter muslafunu. Nahun ater mukrarukum. Nahun salub nasakuma. Nahun salub nasakuma. Ansanun kahenataru. Ansanun muslafunun. Nahun ater muspatu. Anun atun. Atun amun. We are Sabians. Tawakum Nataru. Muntaru. Muntaru. Our Muntar Baabaa Yaanun. Tawakum. All right. in the personage of His Excellency, Dr. Malachi York, all right, Baabaa Yaanun, and Tawakum to our Muslafu ancestors for supporting us this far, because we're still here. And Tawakum to us, Moisad, as we are doing our very best to transform into the very best versions of ourselves in our one collective body. All right, Ashuk and Tawakum to us all, who's doing our very best. Our scroll for today will be the freaks and the perfect creation. And our Lahaj is Mun Maku Wu Pa Tamem Mukyai. Mukyai. All right. So feel free to unmute and participate. All right. Let's look a little bit about the author, Paa Baabaa Yaanun, known to us as the master teacher. His Excellency Z. York Okran. Kobina means born Tuesday, June 26, 1945 AD in Ghana, Africa. Those are Baaba's coordinates. As you see, Baabaa taps in, all right, to our very forces of Panadaru, our overseers, to bring us the scroll as the transmitter, all right, and bringing us the scroll of eyes, right, as we all come together. So the scroll starts off, is introduction to all, 9 reasons to be a Sabian and not them, all right. Some scrolls you'll see 9 reasons to be a Nuwapian and not them. All right. So it's a scroll within itself. Sometimes we read it and sometimes we just get right into our scroll. So today we're going to skip the introduction, but on your own time, you can read it. All right. So let's get right into our reading. Mun Maku Wu Pa Tamem Mukye. Freaks and the perfect creature. 1. Lahe Amtkum Aye Marura Karadu Shalil Wunawa. For you all, my beloved children of Wusabat. For you all, my beloved children of Wusabat. 2. Much has been kept from you over these past 24,000 Shamutat years, and mostly in the past 6,000 Shamutat years of Za'amus, Mulkanat, religious teachings by Pa Munhasu, the evil ones, and their Mulkanat, teachings and doctrines of Lawitanan or Leviathan, of Mukanu, or that is Wiccan cults, all right, or the Wiccan cults. 3. From Druid cults, which became the many religious sects of Mesopotamia to Jerusalem to Arabia. 4. To the Romans and Greeks, and spread to power world over. All right. Just think about the politics of what was going on in Rome, where the Romans said, we want the sun to set and to rise in Rome. So they were going around trying to conquer, all right, all others, all right, and spreading their diseased DNA and their diseased doctrine, all right. 5. Yet their Musfahat books, called the Torah and or the Gospel and or the Quran, keeps much hidden from all. 6. This is done by mistranslations. 7. This is also done by interchanging the kasadat meanings and of madatat words. 8. 8 ceremonies of the year known as sabbats, celebrated by Wiccans and Druid cults, which originated from the spring Bacchanalia orgies, all right, Bacchanalia orgies, 200 BCE. Of the Greek god of wine and intoxication, Dionysius, and the Saturnia festival, which is 217 BCE, of the Roman god of agriculture, Saturn. All right. I learned about some of the things that was going on in Greek, everything from even the vomitoriums. I learned about that in school, where they would eat, have orgies and eat, and then they would throw up to make more room. All right. 9. During the witch hunts of the Middle Ages, Wiccan sabbats were depicted as meetings of obscene behavior, such as worshiping and copulating with the devil figure after dancing and feasting on Huwanat's animals and or unbaptized Masas baby. All right. And this is the pagan wheel of the year. And here is their rituals. All right. And what they were doing. All right. So they didn't tell us all the details of what they were actually eating. All right. But I do know that in many cultures, they feel like if they eat the baby, they feed on the life force. All right. And the energy of that child. And then when they mix it with sex. All right. So it's a way of them tapping into energy. 10. Also called the sex sabbats. Beltane is Beltanan. A procession includes the merging of winter and summer by a symbolic Mawat's death of winter and a resurrection of the dead earth through Jannas, sex, and thus a rebirth of summer. 11. Participants also jump the Belfire in honor of the god Bel or Baal for purification or good luck with fertility. All right, so here goes their fire rituals. This Sabbat is believed to be a 3-day doorway opening between the physical world and the Ka'ahul, Tapal spiritual world. Dead Salafu ancestors are called to the physical realm for an offering. All right, the difference in their ancestors, they come to feed, all right, different spirit force. Our ancestors, all right, they just want our respect and our love. And our sacrifice is that we sacrifice our immediate gratifications for the long-term benefit or for the bigger picture, all right? That's the difference in our 9 ether ancestors versus their unholy seed, all right? So you have the holy, where they're already tapped in, and then you have the unholy, where they're trapped in certain realms. So they have to just feed on the realm that they can't pass over. All right. So 2 different spirit forces. All right. So that's how they relate to their ancestors. We don't relate to our ancestors the same way. All right. 13. Participants dress up blue and blacken themselves and pull mysterious tricks on others. 14. Or they may dress as Ka'ahu spirits, and housewives would give them treats or offerings to avoid bad luck on their households. All right. So you have people that would dress up like this. All right. And then they go door to door and you give them a treat or something so that'll help you to prevent, all right, bad luck. So it's reminding me a lot of trick-or-treating. All right. 16. All to keep Pa Hajjaj Shalil Nawam or Naum, the spell of sleep, ignorance over you, the pure seed of the Pahahat's heavens above Sabbat's Sirius star constellation. And Masa Sabbat Najam, the Orion star constellation, your original Maklantui homes. 17. Seeks to get inside your head to rule your katat body and take your ba soul to control your emotions. All right. So it gets you out of alignment. All right. That's why we start with the breathing exercises. All right. To help us align our physical body, our mental body, our emotional body. All right. So you have a more self-awareness. This helps to close certain doors. 18, because you are physical, yet you're much more than physical. 19, the physical body of living hayayats, creatures, as well as humans, is not solid material or matter. It is composed of particles, even mutwalats, waves. All right. So we know that although I appear solid. All right. That is only because that these particles they're moving. All right, around a central idea. All right, which is pretty much my will to exist. So when you look closer at these particles, you'll see that I'm made up of many. All right, not just one. All right. So they can get into your wavelengths. All right. And then your hormonal body, all right, and your emotional body, all that's connected, all right, because we learned about the glands, all right, and the secret of the secretions, which is from your very own glands, all right, and how those vibrations can change what those or the messages that the glands give you, which can open gateways, all right, for the better or even for the worse. So 21, the humanoid body, kashar, flesh, and Ajam, bone, is an electromagnetic semiconductor, and they seek to tap into yours. All right. So you hear electromagnetic semiconductor, you hear a conductor conducts electricity or energy. So you have certain beings that will look to get into yours. All right. Since they're trapped here, they need your flesh for their bidding. The same way you can tap into radio signals. The tendons, a Greek word, tenion. As you look close, listen to the resemblance of the word tenan or tenon, to stretch in Greek. These are any of the inelastic cords of tough connective tissue by which muscles are attached to the ajamat, bones. And you know, musbatu, Sabians, that inside the bone is the seat of Haya, life, and the damam, blood, with the marrow, Old English merge, the soft fatty tissue that fills the cavities of most bones and cleanses the damam, blood within 6 to 9 weeks. All right. So that's the secret of your renewal inside the bone marrow. That's where your immune system starts. There's a lot of things that happens in the bone marrow. And interestingly, one of my coworkers, she's a woman, and she got a bone marrow transplant from her brother. I forgot what issue she had and why she had to get one. She got a bone marrow transplant, and the funny thing is, she said that when they take her blood, she comes up like a man, right? It shows YX or XY DNA. And she said ever since her bone marrow transplant. So it's very, very interesting. I mean, I don't know what that means, but I thought that was interesting to know. All right. So 24. So the tendons are in fact composed of twisted collections of collagen fibers. 25. Collagen is a fibrous protein in bone and cartilage. All right. When I used to eat meat, my favorite part was actually the bone marrow. I used to like to crack the bones open and eat the bone marrow. And I love the collagen. All right. That's my reptilian side. But nowadays, I don't eat that. All right. So the collagen is a fibrous protein, bone and cartilage. So in Hakak, fact, the tendons are composed of a twisted collection of collagen bundles, each one composed of collagen fibers. Collagen fibers are composed of collagen fibrils, and fibrils or fibrillation in Latin is fibra, meaning cord. Fibrils assembles of molecules secreted outside of specialized connective tissue, cells called fibroblasts. Connective tissue fibers are arranged in highly regular arrays. All right. So when you say highly regular arrays, you're going to already picture patterns. So if it's a regular array, then it has its own patterns. All right. So it's a predictable pattern. So if somebody can master your pattern, all right, they can set signals. All right. So let's look at the diagram one. The organization of tendons, structure from collagen fibrils to the entire tendon. All right. So let me see. I have wrote down the words. Let's read a little bit more, and then we're going to look at the diagram. 32. Highly regular parallel arrays of molecules, whether it's in a liquid or solid form, is called a balar, all right? A crystal. So now we know that those regular chords with those parallel chords and their arrays, whether it's a liquid form or a solid form, we know it's a crystal. So our very tendons and such are actual crystals, all right? So the word in English is crystal, from the Greek kristallos, or ice-like, as cryos, or frost. 33. The collagenous molecules in which all your organs are encased function as a system of liquid crystals. All right. So your organs function in a system of liquid crystals. All right. So now we see how energy is being conducted inside of our bodies. All right. Energy conductors. Crystal, which is highly ordered arrays of molecules. Crystals, which are a highly ordered array of molecules, are found in several different kinds of tissue, such as the DNA and Yakasat genes, the photosensitive rod and cones, Sayakat cells in the back of the eye. All right. So your rods and your cones, one helps you process the colors and shapes. All right. And then the other one helps you with colors and the other one helps you with shapes. All right. So the rods helps you see the shapes and then the cones help you see the colors. All right. Little fun fact, because I had to get an eye surgery at one time. So I studied the eyes for a year before I got the surgery. And you have 3 cones that help you see the full spectrum of color. But there are some people on the planet with the 4th cone. So they see outside of the normal spectrum of color. So they see colors that other people don't. All right. So to have a standard being able to see in color and not black and white, you need 3 cones, but not just 3 cones, 3 effective cones, because you can have cones that are damaged and still be colorblind to some shape or form. Now, the funny thing is, if a man has an extra cone, it acts like a defect inside of him. So he will not see the full spectrum. It will make him colorblind because that's considered a defect. But women who have the extra cone, they see outside the natural color spectrum of what the average human sees. So they can see outside of that color spectrum. So that's a little something to put in your pocket. All right. So we're talking about the crystals, all right, and the different ways and where you find them and what tissues, all right? So you got the DNA, you have also the rods and the cones on the back of the eye, and then you have the myelin shelf of the nerve cell, all right? That's what protects the cell. So like people with, what's that disease? I guess Parkinson's too, but what's the MS, multiple sclerosis? The sheath ends up wearing down, all right? And they get nerve damage. So the sheath, all right, which is like when you say sheath, is like the protective outer layer around the cell. The nerve cell has the myelin sheath, all right? So that's also, it has also those crystals in it, all right? So the collagen molecules that make up connective tissue, muscle tissue, densely packed molecules of actin and myosin, the phospholipids of cell membrane. All right, so you have phospholipids. So it's like the fatty part, something to do with the fat, all right, of the cell. All right, so that probably explains why I like at that time to eat that part of the meat because I used to like that give, that stretchiness. All right. So it looks like I liked all the part with the crystals in it. So what is the actin? The actin is the most abundant protein in eukaryotic cells. All right. It forms the cell adhesion and muscle contractions. All right. And it helps for the cells to attach to each other. All right. So the actin helps for everything to be related. All right. So just think of that, the cell adhesion and for cells to interact with each other. So that's the actin, and it's considered a protein. All right. So that's a protein. All right. So now, what is the myosin? The myosin, it converts chemical energy into mechanical energy. All right. So it takes energy, like let's just say heat, and it can turn it into movement, or it could turn oxygen, which is made up of O2, and it can turn it into some type of mechanical movement. All right. So that's accounted for your myosin. All right. So let's read that again. The collagen molecules that make up connective tissues, the muscle tissue densely packed molecules of actin. So we know that helps for everything to stay connected, and myosin that helps for movement. All right. And the phosphorus lipids of cell membranes. 35. Balarats or crystals conduct radio waves and are semiconductors. All right. So now you know that crystals, they are semiconductors and they create radio waves. So your very body itself is giving off a radio wave as well. All right. So the crystalline structures of the collagen molecules that make up mukmam or human connective tissue is a semiconductor. Now listen to this part, is very important. 37. Each Salal race, Lawan color, Wabar hair, nappy, kinky, or farar fur texture is unalike in many ways. Each has their own station or wavelength of communications of tones and waves, colors, and sawatat sounds that affect the damah brain, and as such, the emotional states of the akal mind. All right, so each race has its own pattern. All right, and then even like for somebody, like I don't really go in, I forgot the name of that study, when you go and you study the way the veins in the eyes are, that's in the whites. You have some people who study the iris, which is the color. They could tell you a lot about your health and different things like that, and it's like a map, a road map. But some people who they can study the hands or the feet, like Baabaa at one time, he asked if I could send a picture of my hands and feet, both the up and the back side. All right. But the funny thing is, ironically, before that, I was already looking into like Chinese, like face reading. All right. So I already had an idea that he was looking for something. So I sent it to him. And the funny thing is, I guess he had asked other people too. So then people started to have a rumor about Baabaa that he has a foot fetish. Baabaa has a foot fetish. So then Baabaa had to come out into the public and said, I don't have a foot fetish. All right. I'm checking your health. But different races, they may have different roadmaps. So where this vein goes on this race might actually be different where this vein goes on that race. So how you read each race may even shift slightly. So that's just something to consider. All right. So 38, semiconductors are not only able to conduct Nashat's energy, they conduct outformation and information if you are well connected to your own station. All right. So now, if you ever, like, I always had a close girlfriend growing up. I would always end up getting a close girlfriend. We could just look at each other and we already had a whole conversation. We know, okay, time to go, or whatever the case is. Or did you see that? All right. So we were just tuned in onto the same frequency. All right. So we see actually how that happens because we get that same, we can send information, we can get information, or we could tap into something that's being signaled and we both say, did you feel that? All right. So now you see how that's happening. All right. On a physical, or you say metaphysical level. All right. Metaphysical is nothing more than a less dense version because meta just means below. So if you keep dropping below, you're just looking at yourself in a less dense state. All right. So you start looking at the components that you're made of. And if you keep breaking down smaller and smaller components, you get into like, you start getting into particles. And then you break down those particles more, you just get into energy. All right. And you realize that you're made up of these different packets of energy. All right. So it's a simple way for your mind, all right, to process what's going on around you. So semiconductors are not only able to conduct nashat energy, they conduct information and into information if you are well connected to your own station. And many other abilities, other properties, semiconductors are able to store nashat energy, even amplify signals, filter information, and move in one direction, yet not in another direction. All right. So you can have different systems. Some are pulling energy in, some may be pushing energy out, some is filtering. An example of that is a person, my specialty is skin. All right. So your melanin, for example, it when you get radiation, let's say you're getting UV radiation. So you have A wavelengths, which are longer rays, so they can penetrate deeper, and then you have B, which are shorter waves. So B is where you get your color from. All right. A, that can go into the deeper parts of the DNA. All right. Now, the great thing about us being semiconductors, or how our semiconductors work, because you see everybody's a semiconductor in some way or another. How they conduct that information, to each their own, right? But for Nagaru, or very heavy melanated people, all right, they take that information, that UV radiation, which is live radiation, which is energy. And then your body takes that in, but your melanin itself acts like a translator. So it takes this UV radiation and it reconfigures the message, and then it uses it as it's needed. So for example, the sun doesn't give you vitamin D. Your body actually creates its own vitamin D as a reaction to radiation. All right. So what happens is that your melanin has this conversation with this UV radiation, and then it reconfigures it, and then it would create vitamin D. It would create many different things. All right. So now you can see, and that's just one system that's doing that. All right. So you have many systems that interact with outside stimuli, and they can put it and reconfigure it. All right. But what happens is when you don't have melanin, all right, then those live radiation can just go and scramble your DNA. So we needed a converter. So your melanin actually acts like a converter with that UV. All right. Without the converter, it would be harmful also to us. All right. So the melanin acts like, let's see, I wish I knew more technical words for electricity, like a plug. Let's just say it acts like a plug. All right. An outlet. And it puts it into a nice organized way. It reorganizes. Yeah. Okay. So 39. And many other abilities, other properties. Semiconductors are able to store nashat energy, even amplify signals, filter information, and move in one direction, yet not another. All right. And you can see evidence of that just using your melanin as an example. When you get a nice tan, it's not like, or for us, we're not really tan because we're darker than tan. So let's just say a melanin activation. So you get an activation, and you see that When you go inside, you don't get lighter again. You keep that same color, all right? Because that's you storing that energy as you need it, all right? And you can store that away. So when we had this big, what was it? It was the fires that was burning on the East Coast, and the air quality was so bad. That happened, what, 2 years ago or last year or something? No, it happened 2 years ago. And I had just gotten such a beautiful color because I was in another country, and then I came back, and I feel like the melanin, it helped me to face whatever it was, but it kind of ate through my melanin faster, so I got lighter right after. All right, but it was like I needed that energy, so whatever it was expending, all right, it was using to protect me. So in an instant when I needed it, it came in handy. All right, so emotions, E equals energy. All right, so E equals energy. And motions equals movement. 40. So in fact, Madatat's words, sounds, tones, tazuzats, vibrations, waves, organized into structured words affect you. All right. There's some people that you just don't want to talk to. All right. It's the way they talk. All right. Sometimes it's what they say. All right. So it's like they have nothing to say. But some people, the way they talk, it could be very draining. All right. So you might avoid that person because it affects you. Some people, they pull you in, you want to hear more. All right. So 41, and that's because of emotions. How is it moving you? All right. You don't move me. All right. Or you move me. So 41, even the sound of a person's voice, just as the roar of a lion or a gunshot. So now we see the importance of our vocal breath. All right. It's going to be very healing. All right. Because some voices are really just not good to listen to. It's not good for your DNA. All right. And because we've been living in the West, and we've been around other voices, so to say, that are not our own. All right. And we emanate that naturally. We've been living in someone else's image. That's the importance of us taking the time to heal our tones again. All right. Think about, how do you talk to your children and each other, etc., etc. All right. So for a person to raise their voice at you also affects your emotional state of mind. Anger affects the whole Khatat's body and Damah brain, emotional reactions and actions. All right. So now you know the brain is part of your nervous system. That's part of your central nervous system. Your eyes is also a part of your nervous system. So that's all. Your brain cells are also neurons, nerve cells. All right. Your spinal cord. All right. That's all. So someone's affecting your nervous system. That's why when people say, oh, you get on my nerves. All right. They really are getting on your nerves. All right. They're affecting your nervous system. That's why it's important to do things that are good for your nervous system. All right. So in fact, the connective tissue system can also process information into information, making you a receiver. You as Nagad Nadu, Negroids are linked to Kale Makwanat, Omniverse, the nine-mind deity of deities, and your connective tissue is suited for the task of conveying both energy and information into information because it connects every part of your Makwan being to Katat's body to every other part. All right. So it's fully intact. All right. That's why, as an example, why we're so creative. All right. The energy is not really coming from you, it's flowing through you. All right. So it's not really your idea. You're tapping into the language of the omniverse. So sometimes you're sitting down, you can just start vibing to nothing. and you're hearing something on some dimension, and then it comes from affirmation into information, and then you output it. All right, and that's the idea. So you caught that wave, and you wrote it, so to speak. So you think of yourself as a conduit of that energy through your very vibrations or your very shape. All right. So it is, as Baabaa says, suited, all right, for that task. All right. So it's suited for conveying energy. All right. Affirmation and information. Affirmation and energy into information. To control you, the Mudwal devil, must have you, Saduk, trust them. What they say and how they say it, and what they look like and how they look at you. All right. So now you're the energy conductor. So if I control you, I could possibly have you tapping in the way I want you to. Because if I am less effective for that job, all right, and you're more effective, you can go into realms I necessarily may not be able to, let's say as another race. All right. So now my job is to control you. All right. So the best and easiest way to do this is image projection in your mind's eye. All right. So read that scroll, mind's eye. All right. Which is actually recorded. So that scroll goes hand in hand with this scroll. That is done with faith in their Shabbat image of God as mortal or Tayaf ghost. That is physical or spiritual. All right. So whether it's a physical or a spiritual image, that's still all affecting what? Your nervous system. 49. This was done with their religions spread the world over, their matatats, words, Bible and Quran, their physical prophets, their apostles, saints, disciples, companions, angels, Mahdis, messiahs, Lord God, in some way in their own image, as you see, Mutyafu, ghosts, spirits as whites, ghosts as whites, angels as white, Jesus as white, Mary as white, Muhammad in their drawings with white hands. Yet, they oftentimes cover his Wajaj face, only showing his Yasar family members as white or light. Only the devil is dark. 41. This is projected into your being when just a Qur'an child. They are the heroes on TV, the captains on police forces or sheriff departments, judges, lawyers, prosecutors, bail bondsmen, landlords, teachers, and preachers, all right? So they're the authority figures. They're the standard, all right? So most children, if you ask them to draw a picture, just say, can you draw a picture of a girl? And let's say they're under 10 years old. Most children would draw a picture of a white girl, all right? Because what they have done, all right, throughout society is made whiteness the standard, all right? So, for example, you can have American. When I say American, you probably picture a white person. So I say Afro-American, all right, or Asian American, all right? The same way they draw an eye. When you learn about eyes in school or teeth, you learn about an eye. It's a blue eye, all right, as a child. Brush your teeth, all right? So in your mind, you have made them your standard, all right? And if they're your standard, they're going to be the authority to hold other things against, all right? So they project the 53. They project they are of authority as found in Revelation chapter 13, verses 2, and in Genesis chapter 1, verses 28, and gave them dominion 6,000 years ago. Their Adam or Cain or Canaan in the year 4000 BCE and to 2000 AD. Okay, that equals 6,000 years. They will say creation started in the year 4004 BCE. All right, that's the Adam's calendar. All right, then they say Jesus was that 2,000 years ago. All right, so that's why they say before Christ. All right, anytime that period, so they start counting time again during Jesus's time. All right, so now supposedly we're in 2025. All right, so it's been 2025 since Jesus came on the scene, supposedly. All right, so 55, their anointed Messiah or cherub fallen angel, cherub means fallen angel, will return. In Ezekiel 28 verses 1 through 26, he will return. And in Revelation 13, 9 through 18, as lightning falling from above. And in Luke chapter 10 verses 18, an angel of light. 2 Corinthians chapter 11 verses 14, the man of sin. Thessalonians chapter 2 or 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 verses 1 through 4, as part of the star alignment of December 21st, 2012 and in AD. And in Revelations chapter 22 verses 16, the bright and morning star of, or Isaiah chapter 14 verses 7 through 28. Verse 12, Lucifer genes, mark of the beast. All right, so we learned about the mark of the beast just for some of us who may not realize what the mark of the beast was. As Baabaa explained, that we were talking about the mark of the beast are actually genetic markers. All right, that's why Baabaa said that the first of us would actually be carrying the mark of the beast. All right, because we've been here mixing in with them. All right, so some of us carry most of us carry the genetic markers of the beast. Some of us more than others, and that's what we're healing and healing from. All right, those are the interferences. All right, so 56. So much grafting was done, genetic manipulation resulting in much mutations, much evolutions. 57. That birthed all kinds of non-perfect creatures, deformed humans, and disease, such as Barasi of Kakasnadu, Salau, the Caucasian race, of rosy red ruddy people. 58. Adamites or Edomites, which is the same word in Hebrew, the same letters, because the original Lahaj language you call Hebrew from Chaldean had no vowels or dots, marks. So Adam or Eve, the same blush red people who have the curse of Barasi or leprosy, Kakasnadu, all right, Salalu, the Caucasian races. How did all of this start? You seek to know Musbatu Sabians. All right. 60. They, Gayura, Wakud, Tat, altered times. They, Gayura, Tarakat, altered dates. They, Gayura, Makanat, altered places. 63. They even exchanged Sakasu, people, and Khayayats, creatures. All right. So there was a natural rhythm and cycle, because as we learned that the very existence and gravitation of certain beings disrupted the ecology or the ecosystem. All right. So when you're disrupting the ecosystem, you're disrupting the natural rhythm. All right. And as us being ontologists, we acknowledge the science within sciences and how everything relates to each other. All right. That's all the realm of ontology. All right. So how this relates to that. So you can't affect this without affecting this cycle over here, because there's an interconnectedness, all right, called a rhythm or a pattern. All right. So now you're stepping out of rhythm, out of pattern, all right, by altering dates, times, places, and creatures, all right, and people. So much takshush, deception is lacuna taught by them in the form of takak, faith, and akar, belief. That is, don't Shaul ask tamimly, exactly, what does this or that word mean? All right. So when somebody asks, when they say something, and you might want to ask, well, what do you mean by that? Or what context is that? Especially English. All right, because there's a vagueness to English. All right. Even our word Gadad, as we're in, I would say in between. All right. Because in actuality, God goes back to a German word. We don't really have a concept of God in our um culture. We go back to Nathar. All right, that's the closest concept, which is not exactly the same thing. And Nathar, that tells you that we relate differently. All right, so we relate to the natural forces of nature, which has many faces, many sides. All right. So Nathar, which covers our ancestors, the very energy we grew from. All right, the conditions that brought us forward. All right, that's the closest thing that we have. All right. So now, if you're not one to really ask questions, a lot of times what you comprehend, it's like, well, how are you comprehending it? Under whose mind? All right. So that is, don't Shaul ask tamemli exactly what does this or that word mean? So in their deception, they say we have the Sadirat, original copies. Now, what does that kasur mean? 68. It means they don't. It means they don't hakakali actually have the originals. None of them have the originals of their scriptures. Each claim what they have is copied from Zakori or memory of Zazazu, which is men. All right. So from the memory, even the book of Eli, which was such a pointless movie with Denzel Washington. Denzel Washington was in that movie. And remember, like, he was protecting the Bible. It was supposed to be the last copy on a planet or something like that. And it got destroyed or something happened to it. Yeah, it was a Braille copy, I think, of the Bible. And it got destroyed. And then somebody sat and they was writing, and he just recited the whole Bible. All right. So even in that, it's depicted in that movie. All right. So it's always from someone's memory. Where's the exact copies? All right. The original copies. None of them have them. All right. So 71. Also, when asked, is the Torah in the original Lahajat languages to which Moshe or Moses or Musa claimed to have received it 4,000 Shamutat years ago, they will say no. Also, when asked, is the gospel in the original Lahaj language to which Yeshua, Jesus, or Isa, or his original Mutbahu followers received them 2,000 years ago, they will have to say Naut or no. Also, when asked, is the Quran in the original language to which Muhammad received it 1,400 years ago, they will have to say Naut or no. None of them have their originals, nor is what they have in the original language. All right. So they don't have the originals. On top of that, it's not even in the original language. All right. So that was an example of God, which takes us back to Germans, and Nadar takes us back to the Africans. All right. And these are two different connections. All right. So now when you try to explain what something is, and you want to translate it into the language, you might even find that certain concepts may not even exist in certain languages. So you may have to translate into closer form where certain things are be lost in translation. All right. For example, I forgot what it was, an Asian. I don't remember which Asian society or group, but they don't have a word for cousin. They don't. That word cousin does not exist in their language. They only have brother and sister. So if if two siblings were to have a child, so these two sisters, they had children, and they have multiple children here and the multiple children there. That whole generation would be called brothers and sisters. It's not like, oh, this is my brother and sister and that's my cousin. You say it's my brother and sister, that's my brother and sister too. That's my brother and sister. And so the way they relate to family is even different as well. So that whole concept of it having to sit down and explain what a cousin is, that concept didn't even exist for them, in that language. All right. So, okay. So their translation 75. So their Tatrumat translations are in fact not from the originals. So those who receive what they teach are not from the originals. All right. So now when you're trying to learn about family in a language, not from those original people, we'll just use that group that I was talking about. All right. How they related to family and how everything. And you're learning from a person who speaks English. All right. Is going to color that whole family tradition very differently. All right. And it might even be confusing where it makes perfect sense in the other language. All right. So 77, much deception, mistranslations, and wrong interpretations and misguided commentary. 78, you can find in their books and Kasasat stories about Kayayat creatures and Maku freaks. '79. Yes, if you ask them, do you really believe that this creature exists? They will say, no, it's no. All right. So they talk about unicorns and all types of different creatures in their books. Then you ask them if these creatures exist, they tell you no. All right. So 80, even if you ask, what is a chimera or a chimera or a griffin, as in griffin or a ghoul, a specter, a tayaf, ghost, mermaid, demon, vampire, witch, warlock, a lichen, a satyr, a dragon, a unicorn, a barak, a giant, a gamul, or a camel, a 90-foot atom, giant monsters, or dagon, fishman with ganahats, wings, talking serpent, a latuk, talking mule, a dabat, beast, mudbab, lizard man, with sabu, rayasats, 7 heads, and ashu, 10 horns, flying man. All right. So here are just some depictions of all these different creatures. You have vampire, you have the lycon, you have all these different types of creatures that might have been mentioned, all right, in their various holy books. All right. Very tall person versus very short people. Okay. Look at how big their hands are. Right. And there's much more pictures, mermaids and all that, right? So not just in the Torah, Gospel, or Quran, yet other Hadabat cultures as well. All right. So even outside of those particular Mesopotamian holy books. 78. If they claim the Bible, Quran, or Quran are the words of their own Gadad God and is truth beyond any doubt, then the words of their Gadad God cannot be changed or altered. Next, take a look at these. 86. First and foremost, if these creatures are not Sadek, true, why do these creatures of Torah, Gospel, Quran promote them in their cultures, cinemas, plays, Safahat books, Telfazat, television, and even holidays? Why do they not wafuk accept the existence of these kayayaf? kayayat, creatures, or some of them found in other cultures that predate their own. All right. So why do they give so much energy to something that they claim is not even real? All right. When let's continue reading. 89. They don't believe in Rabek, Kadir, Zazazu, little green men called Muzyad Mutatalu, extraterrestrials or ETs. They don't, I could believe in life on other planets or outside this Wahoo Makwan universe, or that would mean their Gadad deity did not create them. All right. So it's a form of cognitive dissonance. All right. So it's hard to make all of these ideas that don't support their beliefs. It's easier for them to just tune it out. All right. So that's many examples of cognitive dissonance. For example, 91, such as Genesis chapter 6 about Nephilims, all right, plural, or a single Nephal. In Hebrew Strong's number 5303, these Elohim are children of Gadadu, gods, who came down to Matah earth and had just Janah sex with Adam Sawatatu, daughters of Adamites, and Munashu, Enosites. Anash, Hebrew Strong's number 582, means forgetful mortal. From Hebrew Strong's number 5388, Nashaya, Hebrew Strong's number 5382. All right. And it means Nasha, and in Arabic it's Nasai, to forget. All right. Forget. 92. In Genesis chapter 1, verses 2, where it Talu reads the Ra'uk, Hebrew Strong's number 7307 of the Elohim, Hebrew Strong's number 430, or the soul or spirit being of the Gadadu gods, came down to Matah, earth, and hovered above the deep Mayayat waters. So beings came down to this planet, Eretz, earth, Hebrew Strong's number 776, according to their scriptures. All right, their scriptures, the Bible calls mistranslations. 94. The Quran says the same about Adam, Hawa, Iblis, in Quran chapter 2, verses 29, which reads, he, the Arab God Allah, is portioned out creation for you all, Adamite seed, which is in the ground of the earth altogether. Then afterward he, Allah, that's the God of the Arabs, rose upward towards the sky by tools, earth and above, 7 skies, atmosphere. And he, Allah, the Arab God by way of all things, is a Noah. All right, that's the version translated by Asaid Isa Ahadi Al-Mahdi in 1970. All right, then we have the Sahih International version, all right, which reads, it is he who created for you all of that which is on earth, that he directed himself to the heaven, his being above all creation, and made them 7 heads, and he is knowing of all things. All right. So, 95, their Gadad created Pa Makab, Matah, the planet Earth, for them. Then he rose up towards the sky and created or made 7 heavens. In the Quran chapter 2, verses 30. And mention, O Muhammad, when your Lord said to the angels, indeed, I will make upon the earth a successive authority, they said, will you place upon it one who causes corruption therein and shed blood, while we declare your praise and sanctify you? Allah said, indeed, I know that which you do not know. That's from the Sahih International version. All right. 96. So their deity speaks to Ka Mukwanu, spirit beings. Mukbatu, angels, and tells them he replaced man as a caliphate, which literally means one who comes from behind, as a successor or pass on in the Mata earth. What will make a Tamem Makyai, perfect creature? It is said by most in both the scientific and Zalmus Milkanat's religious teaching doctrines. 99 created from nothing. 100 created from Afar dust. Created from Wahal mud. Created from Tayan clay. Created from Wasak dirt. Created from a clot of Damam blood. 109. Sanuhan made. 106. Saura fashioned. 107. Saruga formed. 108. Shakula shaped. 109. Takusa molded. 110. Tauma grafted or cloned. 111. Matal sperm and Mafaf ovum. Laduda born. 112. Nashura evaluate evoluted. All right, that's Nashura evoluted. Gayura mutated. Mukyar mutant. Rasuma designed. All right, those are some vocabulary words. All right, going from a creation stories. All right, so there is many interpretations of Tamem Makyai, perfect creature, be it humanoid or animal, insect or amphibian. 117. Mumdahu, scientists want you to trust them. 118. Zalmus, religious persons want you to believe them. All right. How many times does the scientists sometimes say, oh, actually, we were wrong about that. All right. So what makes that scientist the authority over that scientist? All right. Or sometimes when a scientist has a finding, because you see all these, what is it called? Politics. All right. Some certain scientists, they may make a finding and then you see they will disappear. All right. When they want to make that finding public, or they'll be threatened. All right. And then you have, of course, religious persons. They just want you to believe. All right. So 119, both being tools of Muzyad Mutatulu, extraterrestrials, want you to Rahul, ignore the Takak facts as recorded in their own findings of holy books. Let's give an example of the vaccines. The scientists, when they first came onto the scenes, they said that it takes at least 2 years or so to make vaccines, but we could do it in 6 months, which was unprecedented. They were able to do that, all right? So they said, without any side effects, and they said it's perfectly safe, all right? Now you have the findings coming out saying it wasn't as safe as these scientists wanted you to trust in them, all right? So there's a lot of things. There's class action lawsuits. There's all kinds of things coming out. The heart palpitations. There's been, like, somebody I know, he was only 21 and he had a heart attack and he died, and he was in good health. All right. So you trust in them and you ignore the facts. All right. You don't go investigate for yourself because you say, well, I trust them. They know what they're doing. All right. And I'm going to dismiss anything that's making me think critically because I trust these other scientists that, oh, it's perfectly safe to do this or that. All right. Drink milk every day makes your body good. That's what the scientists said. That's not true. All right. Depends on which body you're talking about. All right. So the word Za'am, religion, means in Latin means holiness. The word Mada, science, means skyer in Latin, or know. 122. To know is Tathbut, confirmation. Kadesh, holy is pure. All right. So when somebody says holy, what does that even mean? All right. So that's why we had to take time. What do you mean by holy? All right. So if you just mean it just means pure, you can have like pure water, pure this, or whatever the case is. All right. To know something is to confirm. So for example, if you tell me about something like, you know, I might take your word for it because I don't care that much. If you're right or wrong, it's not, it's a low stake belief to have. So for example, if you tell me that, you know, around this corner, there's a store over there, and I've never been around that corner, I'll just take your word for it. That's fine. Because that's a low stake belief to have. So a brother said that there's a store there, which I have no interest in going anyway. Then I'm just going to say there's a store there. I believe there's a store, you know, 5 blocks or such and such. And the brother told me that. So he never lied to me. So I believe that there's a store there. But to know is to confirm it. I've been to that store. You know, that's when you really know. All right. So, or you experience, you have some type of confirmation. All right. That's when you can really say, I know. So it's very important for us to be able to separate a belief from knowing things. All right. There's many things in the scrolls, for example, that I've read, which started out as a belief because I never heard it before. Baabaa, for example, he has earned that credibility. A lot of things did pan out, and I was like, oh, wow, he was actually right about that. So, okay. I never been inside of that particular spaceship where he says that there's this corridor and it goes into that. That's not something I know. That's something I believe. All right. Because Baabaa said it. All right. When I actually have that experience, that's when it becomes a confirmation. That's when it becomes a fact to me. All right. So that's what we are about. Sound, right, reason, confirmations. All right. Sometimes in time, I'll see. All right. I'll see how that measures out. Like, for example, I plant that seed. I don't know much about flowers. Let's say I don't know much about plantations. Like, I don't know much about vegetation, I mean. And then there's a seed and somebody tells me it's going to grow into a bean. Just because somebody who knows about plants told me that, that's what they know. So don't mistake what somebody else knows for what you know. Now, they may know that. And then I have the plant. So I have a plant right there. Somebody gave it to me and it's growing really nicely. All right. And I'm learning about plants and I'm like, okay, I'm getting all the confirmation. So everything that they say is measuring out. So it's like how to take care of that plant. So I start doing that and the behavior of the plant. I'm getting all my confirmations. Now it's becoming a fact to me, but it started out as a belief. All right. So when you investigate, you start to accept and reject. All right. That's how you start filtering. All right. Now it's okay for you to be like, well, that's not a fact to me because I don't know that. I haven't confirmed that yet. All right. Certain things I have confirmed. So the breath book, you know, it's a confirmation in the making, you know, and it took me to certain realms. I could talk definitively, but it started off, I just read it and it was words on paper till I lived it. And then I saw it play out and I'm like, okay, this is true. This is actually fact. This is an actual fact to me now. All right. And then, so to know is tathbut, confirmation. Kadesh, holy is pure. 123. The scientists, by definition, say they know how until you ask them how. Then they say we don't know how. All right. So a scientist may have an idea, like, for example, let's say I'm a scientist, I get a seed, and I might know a little bit more about, I know the existence of the seed. You didn't know about it. And then I say, I know about the seed until somebody starts asking questions and you realize how little that a scientist actually knows. All right. So the Zaamus, religious by definition, say they are pure or holy. So Zam religion is the holy truth, or some Kahen Mukwan, supreme being, or Mukwanu beings by many Rananats names in different Musanats tongues until you ask any of them of the many different denomination groups. All right. How you going to say this is the holy scriptures? All right. When you say the pure scriptures, when it's a translation, by definition, they can't be a holy scripture anymore, just because, for example, of how you knowing that concepts don't translate perfectly from one language to another. All right. So it's already going to be compromised. All right. For example, and not just that, even if you were to find the original scriptures, that is that what is it accounting for? All right. So it's just a random word that we don't even know what that means. All right. So they say we do not have a pure Kadesh, holy, untampered confirmations. We Musbatu Sabians will start with their own Bible, which the Quran agrees with according to its own text. All right. 127. Musbatu Sabians, look at this close and see what it says. Genesis chapter 1, verses 26 reads, and Elohim God said, let us make man in our own image, after our own likeness. All right. That's the King James Version. All right. 128. So at that point, in the Badoi, that's beginning, in Genesis chapter 1, verses 1, this God, Elohim, made a man, Adam, just like himself, and those with him. However, okay, with him, Hasmuni, whatever that is, what it says, that is what the Bible and Quranic followers believe as undoubted truth. In verse 21, clearly says, verse 27, it says, I'm sorry, verse 27. All right, so 26, it says, and God said, let us make man in our own image. All right, that's what they believe. And then in 27 it says, so God Elohim created man in his own image. In the image of Elohim created he him. Male and female created he them. So the record, Hakak, facts, here in the Bible and Quran, God by whatever name made and created mortals to be just like himself. All right. But it's funny because when you ask the cognitive dissonance, right, what does God look like? A lot of them will say, well, God, he's not. They can't answer that. All right. God is bigger than that. It's not about what God looks like. But right here in the Bible, it says, well, God has an image. All right. So 130. So the record, Hakak, fact, here in the Bible, Quran, God by whatever name made or created mortals to be just like himself. Man and woman was like God in God's Shabbat image and like God. Now you must read in the same Bible, which the Quran agrees with, in Genesis chapter 22. It says, and the Yahweh, or Lord, Elohim, God said, behold, look, the man Adam is or has become one of us. That's the King James Version. 133. So at this point, after the Badoi beginning of Genesis chapter 1, verses 1 through 20, chapter 1, verses 26 through 20. Genesis chapter 1, verses 24 through 26. All right. Let's repeat that again for those who want to reference the Bible. Genesis chapter 1, verses 24 through 26. All right. So at this point, after the Badoi beginning of Genesis chapter 1, verses 24 through 26, you read that this Lord God is saying, look at Adam. He has now become as one of us, Elohim. Yet if you read Genesis chapter 1, verses 26 and 27, this man, Adam, was already created in the image and after the likeness of his Mutmaror, creator, and Musnahor, maker. So how could he become what he had already had Tamuda created? All right. He was already created to be that. So how could he become what he was already created to be? Right. So 137. And if they claim it means to know Wawud, Wu Dawao, good and evil, because he ate of the tree of knowledge of Wawud, Wu Dawao, good and evil, in Genesis chapter 2, verses 17. So they claim that Adam changed in knowledge only. Yes, that would mean when he was in their salam or image, Hebrew Strong's number 6754/55. All right. So it's salam, which is translated meaning figure, idol, resembled, or image. All right. So that's the word that they use. All right. In Hebrew. So it is clear this man was created to look physically like his Mutmador, creator, or in his image, which is a Latin word imago. So he looked like his God who created and made him in Genesis chapter 1, verses 26 and 27. Then it says, after our likeness. Hebrew Strong's number 1823. Damuth. Damuth or Demuth. It means, Hebrew Strong's number 1823 means mold, model, shape, or like manner. All right, so like manner, so similar, it's very like, it could be likened to it, a like manner, behavior, model. All right, so you can have a model of a home, so that's the home, and then you're going to look at the model. Let me look at the model first, or the shape. All right, so the muth, that's the word that they use. And it says from the root Hebrew Strong's number 1819, Dama, think. All right. So Baaba's saying that they didn't use the word, they used the word demuth. So you see under the root of the word is found think. Think like as well. If this was a good God who created them, then Adam already knew good. All right. So think about that. If they said, let's make man like us, then shouldn't man be good? All right. Or these atoms that was created. So he already had that inside, being of his God. 145. And as you read in Genesis chapter 3, verses 5, for Elohim God doth do us. Know that in the day you eat thereof of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, then your eyes shall be opened, and you shall be Elohim, knowing good and evil. 146. It is not saying to know good from evil as to separate them. It says good plus evil. It's talking about beings. How do we know this? 147. By the statement of Yahweh, Elohim, God. Yahweh, Lord, Elohim, God. Of this Lord of the gods, he is called us. In Genesis chapter 3, verses 22 reads, and the Lord God said, behold, the man is to become as one of us to know good and evil. 148. So, Wawed good were Elohim gods, and Dawal evil were Elohim gods. One group Wawed good and the other Dawal evil, and he tells you which group he is a member of. In Genesis chapter 3, verses 24. So he, Yahweh of Elohim, drove out man, Adam, and he, Yahweh, placed the east of the garden of Eden cherubim. That's Hebrew Strong's number 3742-3743. 150. So He was one of the angelic groups of beings who came down to Matah, earth. He was a cherub. And being that he was a Yahweh of the Elohim and was a cherub of the cherubim, or the cherubim. 152. He ordered them to stand guard. He was their leader, as you read in Ezekiel chapter 28, verses 14. He was the anointed cherub. 153. Just as Yahweh and El of the Elohim. And if you read the Bible on cherubim, you find out they were Muktal'oru, or killers, just as in the case in Genesis chapter 3, verses 24. They have flaming swords, or on the Ark of the Covenant in Exodus chapter 25, verses 1 through 22. They Katula killed anyone who came near without a damam blood offering. This is the God that Jews, Christians, and Muslims worship under names in their own Musanat tongues. God, God, Lords, Lord, Gods, God, and Lords, Lords, who is Katolor, killer, by Narar, fire, who ate Bashar, human flesh of sacrifice. Exodus chapter 32, verses 10 through 15. Eat of his sacrifice. Yes, their God, Allah Jah, ate Bashar, human flesh, and Damam, blood. In Genesis chapter 18, verses 1 through 8. 158. He ate Bashar, human flesh. So in Leviticus chapter 1 through 10, he ate flesh and drank the blood. Who is he? Leviticus chapter 17, verses 7. A beast, a devil. In Deuteronomy chapter 32, verses 17. 158. If their God, Allah Jah, keeps repeating to them, have only me, then there must be others one can Khatur choose, or Satur select, or it would not be necessary to say Khatur choose, or Satur select only me, and select only me, one and only me, or I will burn you in much harm, hell's fire. All right. So we're breaking that cognitive dissonance. It's a whole array of politics happening already in the skies and things going on and the nature of what's going on. All right. And if you want to know if you want to know of a tree, you look at the fruit and look at the fruit of what's being produced. So if this man is in God's image and this man is evil, what does that say about the tree? All right. So when God said about this creation, because when I read the Bible, I was looking for this devil, and the devil I didn't really notice pop up the way that I expected it to. And God looked at the people and said, the people, and they just think of evil continuously. The people themselves were evil. All right. You're talking about his own creation. All right. So that's their nature. All right. It didn't say they would be influenced by evil. It said that they were evil. All right. So 159. The cherubim are evil angelic beings. Tayaf Ka'ahu, ghost spirits who pretend to be your God, Allah and Jah. They are blood-lusting devils. All right. And think about all the things that they make you do in the name of tradition, from eating the flesh and drinking of the blood. All right. Even if it's symbolic. All right. Or cutting your foreskin. All right. So anybody with that history of Christian, those with Christian backgrounds, particularly they're going back to the Judaic traditions. So they will get their circumcision around 8 days old. All right. And then Muslims, they get it around 13 years old. All right. And they're like, no, this is my family tradition, but your family is Muslim. All right. Your family's Christian. All right. So it's all about that bloodlust. You know how much stem cells is in foreskin? All right. You know the healing properties of stem cells. So you tap into that. You can tap into your stem cells. And it's big business. All right. So these are the ones pretending to be your God, Allah and Jah. All right. 160. Look at what his Makrab, cherub, did to the sons of Aaron in Leviticus chapter 10, verses 1 through 20. He burnt them with his hell's fire and flaming sword. In Genesis chapter 3, verses 24. He devoured them. He katula killed them. He watched them cook. And then what? All right. So when you're talking about you're going to go into the hell's fire, you're talking about you're going into the furnace to be cooked. Cooked for what? All right. He called them a meat offering that is left, and Baruha ate it. Yes, Musasu Israelites also ate Bashar, human flesh, like their Lord God. In Lamentations chapter 2, verses 20. All right. So if you have time, you want to go back and read these verses on your own. Lamentations 2, verses 20. Lamentations chapter 4, verses 10. Lamentations chapter 4, verses 13. And also chapter 16. Leviticus. Just read the whole book of Leviticus. All right. But particularly chapter 26, verses 29. Deuteronomy chapter 28, 52. Jeremiah 19, 9. Ezekiel 5, 10. Yes, they were cannibals. All right. Why do you think that those Munfalu or those cherubim he came down in the 200, they had sex with the Adamites, and these women gave birth to these giants or these tyrant beings with an insatiable appetite that they couldn't feed the children enough. The children just start eating the parents. So if their God is Tamim perfect, then man is in his image, and Shabenos, likeness, must be perfect, which you know is not true. If they need to eat, heal, feel pain, catch disease, kill, hate, and abuse, that would not be a Tamim Makyai. All right. So if you're perfect, what need do you have? All right. Why do angels need to come and eat? All right. Why are all these sacrifices going on? And we're talking about their concept of perfect. All right. So for their own concept of the perfect creature. And then there's also hate. All right. Because that's what he said between the two brothers. What were the two brothers? Because there's been so many fights between brothers. Was it Jacob and Esau? Yeah. So he told Jacob, this God told Jacob, didn't I love you and hate your brother? Didn't I favor you and hate your brother? All right. But if this is the perfect God over all creation, how could you hate any of your creation? And how can you have all these type of low vibrational feelings and jealousy? All right. So 164. And now they will try and Rashush deceive you when you say that about Hajanu hybrids, such as mermaid, Old English, mer as in sea man or a girl, a merman. 165. If you ask them, does a mermaid or merman really exist, part human and part fish, they will say no. All right. Well, they should say yes if they really believe every Madat's word in their Bible. 167. If they are Ashashu females, then there must have been Ayashu males, as is found in the Bible. Yes, right in 1 Samuel's chapter 5, verses 2 through 7. Under Hebrew Strong's number 1712, a fish man, a Dagon, and it reads, when the Philistines took the ark of God, they brought it into the house of Dagon and set it by Dagon. And when they of Ashdod arose early and of the morrow, all right, the next day, behold, Dagon was fallen upon his face to the earth before the ark of the Lord. And they took Dagon and set him in his place again. And when they arose early in the morrow morning, behold, Dagon was fallen upon his face on the ground before the ark of the Lord. And the head of Dagon and both the palms of his hands were cut off upon the threshold. Only the stumps of Dagon was left to him. Therefore, neither of the priests of Dagon nor any that come into Dagon's house tread on the threshold of Dagon in Ashdod unto this day. But the hand of the Lord was heavy upon them in Ashdod, and he destroyed them and smote them with emerods, even Ashdod and the coast thereof. And when the men of Ashdod saw that it was so, they said, the ark of the God of Israel shall not abide with us, for his hand is sore upon us and upon Dagon our God. All right. So you see wars against the God and Dagon. He was mutilated. All right. They chopped his hands off. And the Ashdod people are saying, well, the God of Israel is against us. All right. And against our God. All right. So you see the war of the quote unquote gods. All right. So did Nasab half human and Nasab means half, Samuk fish exist? According to their own Bible, yes, they did. And he did. Mudgan, a man-made, a fish man. Meaning, so a Dagon translates from Hebrew as the fish deity, all right? Half fish and half man, all right? So every time you see Dagon, all right, we're talking about a half man, half fish, all right, in their own language. So according in Hebrew, 170, according to their own Bible, yes, mermen exist. And in the book, A Comprehensive Dictionary of the Gods by Anne S. Baumgartner, on page 52, Dagon is a Mesopotamian god of vegetation, half man and half fish. According to their definitionaries, they are imaginary Mukyayu creatures that live in the sea, with the upper body of a human female and the lower body of a samak fish. All right. So you see different acknowledgments. So you see the Pope. So that's the headdress. All right. And that's where it comes from. So he's going back to this deity specifically. And there's depictions. All right. And supposedly this is a mummified mermaid. Yes, most 172. Yes, most ancient sea creatures or those who live near water speak and write and draw about these creatures. All right. So you see not just in the Bible, but you see mermaids appearing in many cultures, especially in cultures that are around the sea. Where did they come from? All right, crossbreeding, grafting by these gods, who are in fact Muzyar Mutatalu extraterrestrials, who humanoids think is their Gadadu, gods. All right. I seen actually I was watching uh those health scientific channels, and I did see a person that their legs were fused together. All right. So the both legs, it was all together. And the hip was good, but they and then you just see their feet. It was kind of like that. Even their feet were partially fused too. All right. So Baba said that came about from the crossbreeding and grafting. All right. Where you take this and you take that and you put it together. All right. So you will find these mermen outside of their Bible and in other Hadabat cultures as Onis, also called Anathotus, Anamentos, Adokan, Adikos, the god of sea, who lives in the Erythraean Sea, which is the Persian Gulf. 175. His head and body of a fish and the feet of a man is how this group describes them, of the human head and fish body. So Onus existed outside the Bible. So you see where you have fish heads and human legs. And then you also have it depicted this way. All right. So Onus is known in Mesopotamian mythology, who taught wisdom to mankind, teachings, writings, art, science, before returning back to the sea at night. All right. So this is a Mesopotamian, all right, depiction. 177. Did their God create this creature, you ask? And it's simple. First note, there is more than one God or Elohim. The plural word in Genesis chapter 1, verses 1. And these Elohim as individuals are El. All right. 178. And so, these groups of visitors from Paha, heaven, up there came, as you read in Genesis chapter 6, verses 1 through 4, came the earth. Sons of God, more than one. Some Wawed and others the Wow, evil. All right. Wawed is good. Some were the Wow, evil. Seraphim is 180 degrees. Good. Malak, Hebrew Strong's number, 4427. And cherubim, 180 degrees evil. Molech, Hebrew Strong's number, 4432. Disagreeable. So Malak and Molech. Humans, 360 degrees. That's the willpower. That's your choice. All right. A propensity to whichever. All right. Also, in Quran chapter 2, verses 35, they were to Sahun, dwell in the Marwat garden. 180. According to the Sahuf of Adam, there were other creatures that were in the garden with Eve, and she had a tanin, a dragon. In Quran chapter 2, verses 32, it reads, and we said, O Adam, dwell, you and your wife, in paradise, and eat therefrom in ease and abundance from wherever you will, but do not approach the street, lest you be among the wrongdoers. That's from the the Sahih International Version, 181. Where is this garden? Al Jannah, the paradise in heaven above, 182. And how do we get to this? In Quran chapter 2, verses 38. They were ordered to get down from it. All right, and it reads, we We, not I, the Elohim. So Bible is saying it's plural, all right? So not I, because it would be El for one. So it says Elohim, okay? So we, as in plural, Anunnaki said, the whole gathering of you, that's Adam, Eve, and Satan, get down from there. From me, as in the plural sense of we, as in me, the plural version, there shall come to you leading calmness. And as for those who follow the individual not the our, my calmness, no fear shall be upon them, and they will not grieve. That's translated from Asaid, Isa Ahadi Ahmadi, 1970. So 183. Notes the Madat's word, abitua, abitua. 184. It means to descend. It means to descend. To cause to descend, fall down, come down. Page 107 of Elias Pocket Dictionary. That's the English Arabic dictionary. All right. 185. Also in the Arabui Arabic section of the same book on page 497, you see it. Abat. To cause to nazul descend. The habutun descend, fall, come down, with nazul, come down, descend. So in fact, it says they, Adam, Eve, and Iblis. There's a little typo for those who have a book. So you have to put Adam, Eve, and Iblis. Adam, Eve, and Iblis was up somewhere and sent down to Matah, earth, from Lafis, above. That is what their own Quran states. The Muslim Muslim world, whichever sect will say the Quran is their God, Allah's own words, which has no doubt in it. The Quran, chapter 2, verses 2, it reads, this is the book about which there is no doubt, a guidance from those conscious of Allah. So where is this Makan place up there that they were Rasulah sent down from? 188. There were physical persons, so they must have been standing on Barut Shayeh, that's something, some place with Hayat, air to breathe. All right. So it was they're physical beings. When we talk about Adam, talking about Eve, even Iblis, all right, they're all being classified in that story, physical beings. So that means they have to be standing on something physical, all right. 189. And as you, Talur, read in the Torah, Genesis chapter 1, verses 2, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. Ra'uk, soul being, spirit being. All right. You also see that as the breath of life or spark of life. When you read the breath book, the other books read differently. All right. So Ra'uk, soul being, spirit being, came to earth, and also in Torah, Genesis chapter 2, verses 2, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. 190. The Elohim, sons of Gadadu, gods, came down to earth to have sex with Tahaz, Azaz, Tatu, earth women. Genesis chapter 6, verses 4. It reads, there were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, that they bare children to them, and some became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. And what were they? Giants. 191. It says, however, in Hebrews, Nephil, Hebrew Strong's number 5303. From Hebrew Strong's number 5307, Nephil. They list as giant, tyrant, bully. Giants, tyrant, bully. Yet you look forward in Hebrew Strong's number 5307, and you see it means fall, cast down. And Hebrew Strong's number 5308, Chaldee, Nephal, fall down. Hebrew Strong's number 5309, something fallen or abortion. So it is clear it meant Mukwano beings cast down to Mata earth, who had to have physical katatat bodies, to have sex with Mata earth women and have karadu, children by them. In Genesis chapter 6, verses 4 through 5 reads, there were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bore children to them, the same became mighty men, which were old, men of renown. And God saw the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and every imagination of thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. Jawed, wicked, children like them. All right. So it had the same natures of the ones that's judging them. It's funny, like a lot of parents sometimes judge their children, say, I don't know where that child gets it from. And it's like, I know you. And it's like the child's more like you than you think, than you like to admit, you know. And that, example like that happened to me. I remember one of my nieces, she came to me and she was like, look, Auntie, I got a big ass soap. She was like 1 year old, 2 years old. It was so cute. But I was shocked because she was so innocent. And I was shocked. And she said, I got this big ass soap because I had ordered like a lot of soaps. And one of them was bigger. And she found that one. She's like, it's a big ass soap. And I just looked at one of my other family members who was a teenager. She was always on the phone at that time. This was years ago. She was always on the phone. And I was like, and my niece, she did that in front of me and my mom. So me and my mom, we looked at each other and we just went, and we both said that family member's name. It has to be that person. And we blamed that person. And it wasn't until later that I asked my mom to cut up some fruit for the children. So I said, can you cut up the fruit for her? Don't cut it so big because I hate when she wastes food. So my mom still cut big pieces. So my mom brought out the apple that she had cut up. And then I was like, why did she cut these big ass pieces? And I realized that she got it from me. I never even noticed. I said, oh, she got it from me. I didn't even know. All right. So they're judging for the behavior that they're actually doing. These makers, they look at their creation. In reality, their creation is a reflection of really them. All right. So I notice a lot of parents, they do that. I mean, I don't have children, but I will see people like, I don't know where they get it from. And it's like, they get it from you more than you realize. All right. So 194. All right. So we're on page 37. Yeah, if you ask them in Abraham's religions, Judaism, Christianity, or Al-Islam, do they, I could believe in Mutatalu, extraterrestrials, they will say, no, it's no. 195. In the Gospel of John about Jesus, it states out of Jesus's own mouth in John chapter 3, verses 13, Orion. All right. So they talk about star systems right in the very Bible. They talk about Sirius in the Bible. They talk about Pleiades in the Bible. All right. You see all these star systems come up. All right. 196. He came down from Arenos. All right, that's the Greek Strong's number 3772. 197. Then again, he states he is from above. In John 3, in John chapter 3, verses 31 reads, He that cometh from above, Hebrew Strong's number 3772, is from above. He that is of the earth is earthly, and speaketh of the earth. He that cometh from above is above all. All right. So when you talk about the heaven, you talk about the earth. All right. So when they talk about coming from the sky, the heavens, the seven heavens. All right. So what is the seven heavens that they talk about? All right. Star systems. All right. And also in John chapter 8, verses 28. Chapter 8, verses 23. And it reads, And he said unto them, Ye are from beneath, I am from above. That's the Greek Strong's number 3772. Ye are of this world, I am not of this world. Right? So he's saying I'm an extraterrestrial. All right. You are from this country, I'm not from this country. All right. Same thing. All right. So you're from this world, I'm not from this world. 198. So where did Yeshua, Jesus, Isa come from according to his own words? Right above, Haha, heaven, Masa Sabat Najam, Orion's star system, from above Ono, or Uno, Anu, Hebrew Strong's number 507-509. And here goes an actual star system that actually exists. All right. That's the one star system that I could always find very easily. So they talk about Orion a lot in the Bible, for example. All right. And what does that make him? Right. And Muziad Mutatalu, an extraterrestrial. What about his father, El? He said in Matthew chapter 6, verses 9, Our Father which art in heaven. Or Matthew chapter 27, verse 46. And about the ninth hour, Jesus cried with a loud voice, saying, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani. That is to say, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? Eli means my El. All right, so Eli means my El. Why have you forsaken me? 202. Wane, where is the Yabab, Father? Sahir writes, up in heaven. And it is repeated in the book of Luke 11, verse 2. And he said unto them, When ye pray, say, Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so in earth. All right. So we're saying, I'm going to do the agenda from that other place right here. So, I'm doing the agenda on behalf of that particular extraterrestrial. For heaven, you find Strong's Greek number 3772, Oranos, or Orion. So, what is the heavenly Yabab Father? A Mukmai, alien, a being from outer space. Just to clarify, that's not everyone's father. That's that particular bloodline. All right. That's the bloodline of the Hebarus or the Hebrews. All right. So he is an alien, one of many, all right, from outer space. What is his name? Anu. All right. That's the Greek Strong's number 507. Yet, do they, Akud, believe in Mubrau, space beings, Muzyad Mutatalu, extraterrestrials, they would say, now it's no. So you see, they, Lasem, must be under some now what kind of evil spell of blindness called blind faith, not able to deal with hakakat, actual facts before their very ayantui, eyes, right in their own scriptures. All right, cognitive dissonance, like someone being in a dynamic or in a bad relationship, they don't want to see the truth. All right, so they can't see because they can't handle the facts. All right, so their eyes won't let them see. All right, what's right in their face. So 207. And what about other creatures, such as the book of Job, chapter 39, verses 10? Canst thou bind the unicorn with his band in the furrow, or will he harrow the valleys after thee? It has a unicorn. All right. So you see a unicorn being mentioned. Okay. 208. In ancient India, the small seals of Indus Valley art are depictions of unicorns. All right, so you see even in India, India's in the Indus Valley, they have depiction of unicorns. Today they are described with white bodies and blue eyes, 18 to 36-inch long horns, with the center of its forehead, which is white at the base, black in the center, and red at the pointed tip. They are depicted as a cross between an antelope or a deer with a single horn, thus huskier bodies, not that of a horse. All right. So now when you see it on how it's depicted on the Indus Valley ones, it's depicted with the body more of a deer or antelope, but with that type of horn, and huskier bodies, not really of a horse. But when you see it on Hollywood, they just take the horse and they just put the unicorn horn on it. All right. And then we know that many animals have come and gone. There's animals going extinct all the time. Supposedly the panda bear is supposed to be extinct, but they keep them on. They keep breeding them at these special places. I don't think you find them in the wild anymore. All right. What's another one? The woolly mammoth became extinct. All right. But then they became mythological creatures. In reality, they are just examples of crossbreeding through time and space. That you take this feature and you take these and you put these together, and sometimes that will go extinct. All right. But it existed at one point. All right. So 211. There are none around today, yet ancient Indus Valley art are known for relief depictions of animal life, and some stills are preserved so well they look as if they were recently carved. All right. So in the Indus Valley, for those of us who like what you call not agriculture. I forgot what you call that type of science. But those of us who like to travel to go to look at artifacts and different things like that, and art and what's going on, and study cultures, in the Indus Valley, they're known for their depictions of animals, animal life. All right. Some animal life still exists and some have since gone extinct. And the unicorn has made it on to their art wall. All right. So in other Hadabat cultures which predate the Bible, you also find details on unicorns. According to dictionaries or definitionaries, a unicorn is a fabulous Hawaiian animal, like a horse with a single horn. 214. It is also in the Indian stories on page 183, written by W.F. Bain. All right. He lived from 1863 to 1940 AD and published early in the 20th century. 215. Have you ever seen a unicorn? Have they found the Jamat, bones of one? Yet this creature is Wajuba found in their Bible as if Wajuda existed, as if it existed. Or perhaps they did Wajuda exist. All right. So did they find the bones of a unicorn? I don't know. All right. Or perhaps it did exist, but that's a question to ask. Did it exist or did it not exist? All right. There's depictions of arts. Did they find the bones yet? I don't know. I have to research that. I don't know if they did. But they're finding things all the time. So that's, at least you're asking questions. That's the whole point. All right. So 217. If it's in the word of God, then they have to tafuk agree. All right. So if you're a Christian, Muslim, or such, if God said it, then that's what it is. All right. If you're a critical thinker, you're going to go ask questions and see how, why, when. All right. 218. Yet today, ask them, do they believe in the Indian stories of unicorns or the Mesopotamian stories of the mermen? They will say no. 219. And what is a dragon? You read of them or him in the Gospel book of Revelations, chapter 12, under Strong's coordinates number 1404. Drakon, or a dragon in the Bible. So it's not a ramazui, a symbolic word. It's not just for symbolism. All right. So just because you use something for symbolism doesn't mean that it's not actually literal as well. All right. Because you can use literal things for symbolic meanings all the time. All right. $220. It says dragon. And the definitionaries, you see, Drayon, a mythical, which is a DRA-ON, Dragon, mythological fire-breathing monster, like a winged subak crocodile. All right. So here's a depiction. So it looks like somewhat like a crocodile. All right. And it has wings. Here's another depiction. All right. All right, and that's the Asian. So you see it in different. So you see it in Indians depiction. You see it depicted in Mesopotamia. You see it with the Asians. All right. 221. So the Bible's Revelation, chapter 12, speaks of the great Hamer, red dragon, even given the Lawan color of it. 222. All knows the dragon is from the Asian cultures, which existed long before the Bible. All right, so the Asian cultures go back more than uh, much longer than the Bible. Okay, they're much older than the Bible. So that's the illustration of the Asian dragon. All right, so 223. What about Pan and satire? It is Greek for a fertility creature with the sayakat's legs and tail of a zulaf, goats, the head and torso of humans, and pointed yazangtui, ears with small horns. All right, so you got the, let me see the depiction. There you go. Here's a depiction, all right, of what a satire would look like. All right, so let's go back. Now, 224. Also in definitionaries, you will find satire, a woodland god, part man and part goats. The Greeks call one satire Pan, son of Hermes, which is from where the word panic comes from. All right, panic. And you also think of Pan as the musician who was able to hypnotize people. All right. So essentially affect the nervous system. All right. So you're going to just follow him right off the bridge. Or if you make someone panic, you go into a trance, or you can go to where you're not even thinking straight. You run right into a wall. All right. So panic. All right. That's where the word panic comes from. So 226. Now, is this creature found in the Bible? Tua, yes, it is. Leviticus chapter 17, verses 7. And they shall no more offer their sacrifices unto devils, after whom they have gone a whoring. This shall be a statute forever unto them throughout their generations. Under Hebrew Strong's number 86, and under Hebrew Strong's number 8163 as Sayer. Also, with it, you see Sair or Soir from Hebrew Strong's number 8175 as a mountain seer. For fur, shaggy, he-goat, devil, hairy, a kid, rough. I'm even thinking about like Sair. I do hear some people name their children that without even acquainting themselves to the language and why we choose certain names and what we're aligning ourselves to. All right. So that's the importance of getting back to our own culture. All right. So Mount Seir or Mount Seir is the Barai land of Horites and Edomites, Edomir of Isu, twin brother of Jacob. In the Bible, Genesis chapter 25, verse 25. And the first came out red all over like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. Also, Naduya, called Edom, red, ruddy, as in pale-skinned person with hamir, farar, red fur, all over their khatat's body. 228. So, when you see shaggy, yes, it's a moisar, a shaggy, a person by many rananats names, a kind of man, and Dabat's beast. In Genesis chapter 25, verse 25. And you see hairy, as he was Strong's number 8181 in that verse. Sayur, here. Then you know this is a creature covered in fur, a beast, a goat man. All right. And here you see a pale-skinned person covered all in hair. All right. Which is more common towards them because, for example, in Africa, you don't really grow as much hair on the body like that unless when we start mixing, we started to. All right. So, for example, if you go West Africa, you don't really see big beards like that and a lot of body hair. All right. Until you start mixing, you start seeing it more. All right. So, 229. And what do they tantrum translate it as in your Bible today? In Leviticus chapter 17, verses 7. And they shall no more offer their sacrifices unto devils. Satir, Hebrew Strong's number 8163. However, they don't give you the true meaning. They say devils, deception. Why? To hide what it is in their Bible or Torah from you. All right. So devil is a very vague term. So why do they use these vague terms? All right. And why don't they just use the Hebrew, how it was as satir, to hide these different kind of beings? All right. So 230, a goat man, part human and part goat. And who created this? And whose Shabbat image are they? If you, Shaul, ask them, do they believe in Pan or Satire? They will say no. Well, what about Isaiah chapter 13, verses 21, which reads, "And their houses shall be full of doleful creatures, and owls shall dwell there, and satyrs shall dance there." All right. Hebrew Strong's number. Okay. Again, Baba brings it up. 8163. All right. So they said the satyrs were dancing where the owls were dwelling. And what about Isaiah chapter 34, verses 14, which reads, "In the wild beasts of the desert shall also meet with the wild beasts of the island, and the satyr," Hebrew Strong's number 8163, "shall cry to his fellow." All right, to his fellow. So it's telling me there's more than one, or his kin. All right, his fellow is usually somebody who's like your kin or your equal. All right, so the satyr is gonna cry to his kin or his fellow. All right. So did they ever Wajud exist? Well, their Bible is the word of their deity, and it's in there. So they must have existed. And Mushashu Israelites used to offer sacrifices to him. All right, so they call them gods. They offering sacrifices to this being. All right, as Baba has said, that you have all of these extraterrestrials that parade themselves off as gods. And that's really all it is. All right. So they must have really existed, or their Bible, Torah is false, which would make the gospel false, which would make the Quran false. All right. So is that a holy truth, or is it not? All right. So you can't have it both ways. Now, Musbatu Sabians, let's move on. What about snakes or serpents? Did they ever exist? Well, according to the Torah, the book of Genesis, chapter 3, verses 1 through 7, Eve is talking to the serpent, and Hebrew Strong's number 5175 for Nakash. They put their snake from its serpent. So their Bible claims that Eve spoke with a snake who spoke with her. All right. And that chapter reads, Genesis chapter 3, verses 1 through 7, it reads, "Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made. And he said unto the woman, Yeah, hath God said, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden? And the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat the fruit of the tree of the garden, but the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God has said, Ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. And the serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die, for God doth know that the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and also gave unto her husband with her, and he did eat. And the eyes of them were opened, and they knew that they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together, and made themselves aprons." 240. And for the doubters of the Bible who believe in the Quran, Iblis in Quran chapter 15 and Quran chapter 2 was the same talking serpent. Now let's look back at Revelation chapter 12 verses 9. "And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent, called the devil, a Satan, which deceiveth the whole world, and he was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him." You see the list of who this talking serpent was. 1, the great dragon. 2, the old serpent. 3, the devil. And 4, Satan. 242. "And it is Satan we want to look at here. Why? Because their deity spoke with him, as in Job in the Old Testament. Job chapter 1 verses 6 through 12 reads, "Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came amongst them. And the Lord said unto Satan, Whence cometh thou? Then Satan answered the Lord and said, From going to and fro the earth, and from walking up and down in it. And the Lord said unto Satan, Hast thou considered my servant Job? And the Lord said to Satan," I want to repeat that. "And the Lord said to Satan, Go pay attention to my servant Job." All right. "So hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and upright man, one that feareth God and is and let's see, avoids, let me just use avoids, and avoids evil." That word means avoid, but I don't know how to pronounce it. So avoids. So one who fears God and avoids evil. Then Satan answered the Lord and said, Doth Job fear God for naught? Hast thou made a hedge about him and about his house and about all he hath on every side? Thou hast blessed the work of his hands, and his substance is increased in the land. But put forth thy hand now, and touch all that he hath, and he will curse thee to thy face. And the Lord said unto Satan, Behold, all that he hath is in his power, only upon himself put not forth thy hand. So Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord. All right. That story in itself is a sidebar conversation, but you have God and there's Satan having a discussion about Job, who has been nothing but an upstanding man according to what's pleasing to this God. And so they make a deal and says, well, he's only that way because everything is in his favor. Destroy his life and he's going to curse you. All right. So why would God do that when God already knows the hearts of the people? Why would Satan be able to tempt God? All right. So Satan was able to actually tempt God, all right, to do something that's really not a nice thing to do. When he should already know, this all-knowing God should already know the heart of his servant. All right. So he did all the suffering to Job, and Job still remained faithful. And then he said, there you go. Now you have a new wife, new children, an even better house and everything. But what if Job said, but I want my old wife? I was happy with the life I had before you took it away. Why put the man through that type of trauma, right? So Yahweh, their Lord, is not speaking with a Satan, a talking devil, a talking dragon, a talking serpent. So their talking snakes exist. It's in their Bible. A talking Satan, a talking dragon, a talking devil. If these are to be believed as the word of God, who cannot Kadub lie? All right. We're talking to believers. All right. Critical thinkers don't have to necessarily believe that. They have to investigate to know what was going on the planet. I don't know. Certain things I know about. Like, for example, the dodo bird. All right, that's a more ancient bird. It didn't really fly. They found bones of it. It doesn't exist anymore. All right. But it would look like a very weird looking bird that doesn't exist now. But it existed at one time. Or a specific type of cat that looked a little bit like a tiger, but it also looked like not like a tiger. It looked like a cheetah mixed with a lion. All right. That type of animal existed at one time. It doesn't exist now. Or the woolly mammoth that they're trying to bring back to life. All right. They're trying to do it using the elephant, the female elephant. And they're trying to take the woolly mammoth, and what they want to do is, scientists are actually working on it now to bring that woolly mammoth DNA, because they found some of the DNA, so they want to put it inside the mitochondria, not the mitochondria, the mitochondria DNA of the female elephant, and then the female elephant can give birth to woolly mammoth. All right, so they can resurrect the species. All right, so I don't know. There's a lot of these animals I don't know about. What time period? You know, this is critical thinking. All right. So, an investigation. All right. So, were there serpents and snakes that could talk according to their own Sajalat's records in their own scriptures? Taur, yes. All right. So their word of God is supposed to be the law. Why are they contending against their own law? All right. Let us see, Muspatu Sabians, what other kind of serpent is mentioned in the Bible. The cockatrice. All right. Sifa Tefa, Hebrew Strong's number 6848 is extrude, a viper, a thrusting out the Lasan tongue hissing. All right. So TSEPHA, that's Sifa, and then SEC Fa. All right. So Sifa is the Hebrew Strong's number. Exclude a viper. All right. So when you look up Sifa under the Hebrew Strong's number, and that's mentioned. 248. According to many definitionaries, a cockatrice is a serpent that is hatched by a reptile from a cock's boyard egg and has a deadly glance. All right. So that's an image of what a cockatrice is depicted as, a depiction. According to their Bible, Isaiah chapter 11 verses 8 reads, "And the sucking child shall play on the hole of the asp, and the weaned child put his hand on the cockatrice den." Isaiah 59 chapter 5 reads, "They hatch cockatrice eggs, and weave the spider's web. He that eateth of their eggs dieth." Oh, he that eateth of their eggs dieth. So their eggs, if you eat their eggs, you die. Right. So he that eateth of their eggs dieth, and that which is crushed breaketh out into a viper. And in Jeremiah chapter 8, verses 17, "For behold, I will send a serpent, a cockatrice, among you, which will not be charmed. They shall bite you, saith the Lord." All right. So the Bible is talking about this poisonous. So this type of bird with wings that lays eggs, that is actually poisonous. So you can't eat the eggs because it will kill you. And then supposedly it's also viperous. So if it bites you or something like that, it's like it has a poison in it, and it doesn't have a very agreeable demeanor. All right. So there you go. God is threatening people. The Lord is threatening people, saying, "I'm going to sick this type of creature on you." Now we do know that there's some poisonous animals that you can't eat. Some poisonous animals you could eat. I mean, non-poisonous you could consume if you were to wanted to eat it. All right. Did an animal like that exist at some point? I don't know. All right. It's mentioned in the Bible though. 250. So cockatrice must really exist. All right. If you're a Christian, you should say yes. All right. Did the Batat's beast dressed in cloth or sackcloth, right, exist? Yes. Right in the book of Jonah in the Bible and in the Quran has a chapter named after him also, chapter 10, Yunus. It has 109 verses. So Muslims also believe in Jonah, the Yunus story. All right. So Jonah, there's a couple of things that he's going to talk about. Jonah's talking about a beast dressed in sackcloth. And also remember, Jonah got swallowed by the big fish. Right? And then he lived. He stayed in the belly of the whale and then came out. All right. So 252. In the book of Jonah, chapter 3, verses 8, you will read, "But let man and beast be covered with sackcloth, and cry mightily unto God." So beasts were dressed in sackcloth and even cry out to their God. So yes, beasts used to dress. All right. 254. Also in the book of Jonah, a great fish. Jonah, chapter 1, verses 17. Now the Lord hath prepared a great fish. In Hebrew Strong's number 1709. Dag, it means sumac, fish. That is what you find in their Bible. And it says about this great fish to swallow up. And Hebrew Strong's number 1104. Bala, Baala. It means swallowing, to destroy, cover, devour, eat up, swallow down. Same as Bela or Bila. Right? Hebrew Strong's number 1105, meaning a gulp, as in devour. 256. So the great fish swallowed up Jonah. That is what their Bible says. And he did not mawut, die. In fact, he lived inside the fish for Dalu 3 days and Dalu 3 nights. Jonah even Namuza prayed and employed while inside the fish. Jonah chapter 2 verses 1 reads, "Then Jonah prayed unto the Lord his God out of the belly's fish." And in Jonah chapter 2 verses 10 reads, "And the Lord spoke unto the fish, and it vomited out Jonah upon the dry land." And you see the Lord Natuka speak to the fish. All right. So I'm thinking about when you vomit up something, all the stomach acids and all that didn't harm Jonah. All right. So he speaks to snails and fish as recorded in their own scripture. So did talking fish ever exist? Well, according to their Lord, God, Yahweh, Elohim, yes. 263. Now, just what does their Bible call Leviathan? As found in Psalms chapter 104, verses 26. There it reads, "There go the ships. There is that Leviathan whom thou hast made to play therein." Isaiah chapter 27, verse 1 reads, "And that day the Lord, with his sword and great and strong sword, shall punish Leviathan, the piercing serpent, even Leviathan, the crooked serpent, and he shall slay the dragon that is in the sea." And in Job chapter 41, verses 1, "Canst thou draw out Leviathan with a hook, and his tongue with a cord, which thou lettest out?" All right. And just what is it according to Hebrew Strong's number 3882 for Leviathan? A serpent, a sea monster. So again, you see Leviathan as a sea monster, a serpent, a large fish, sabuk, crocodile, a dragon, as in their Bible related to the Draco star system. There goes you an actual Draco star system, all right, where you can actually see the Draco star system and you can find it. It's a real system. So we see this Leviathan is another serpent, a Satan, dragon, devil, beast, a great fish creature. The book of Isaiah 27, 1 puts them all Kayu together again as the same. All right. Do lion men exist? Well, according to the Bible in 2 Samuel 23 verses 20, and in 1 Chronicles chapter 11 verses 22. in which both verses are nearly identical. Yes, they do. Lion like men. Ariel, Hebrew Strong's number 739. Heroic, lion like men. All right. That's ARIY-EL. Ariel. All right. Heroic, lion like men. Lion like men have been portrayed in many Qatar is many. Hadabat cultures. All right. Here goes, you see a depiction in Mesopotamia, and down here you see a depiction, all right, in Iraq. All right. So that's it's hard to see, but when you look closely, you see it has like a feline type face. And then here's a Mesopotamian depiction, all right, of this type of lion-like man. And then now you have the Egyptian Sphinx of Akak and Atun, or Akhenaten. All right, there goes the depiction. All right, that's in Egypt. So 2 Samuel's. All right, let's just look at all the depictions. You have this, where is this? The Lion of Holstein. This is it's an ivory sculpture dated 32,000 years old. All right, where was that found? I'm not sure where this one is found, but this is said to be 32,000 years old, this artifact. And then we have next to it the brass statue of an avatar. All right, so this is a Sanskrit meaning Narasingha, means lion man or man lion in Sanskrit. All right, that's the name, a brass statue of their avatar called Narasingha. All right, there's a depiction in various cultures, all right, on various continents. All right, so 2 Samuel 22, 2 Samuel verses 23, verses 20. All right, chapter 23, verses 20, I mean. And Benaiah, the son of Bohida, the son of a valiant man of Kabzeel, who have done many acts. He slew 2 lion-like men of Moab. He went down also and slew a lion in the midst of the pit in time of snow. All right, so he kills a lion, and then he also kills lion-like men, or hybrid looking like men. All right. First Chronicles chapter 11 verses 22 reads, Benaiah son of Jehoiada, the son of a valiant man of Kabzeel, who had done many acts, he slew 2 lion-like men of Moab, also went down and slew a lion in the pit of a snowy day. All right, you notice that's also from the King James Version. 2 different books telling the same story. All right, that happens a lot in the Bible. But both stories telling the same story about this person killing hybrid looking people that look like lion and men together in an actual lion as well. All right. So what about zombies? Are they believed factual or some creature out of the cinema? Well, according to their Bible, these creatures favored in so many cinemas are real. Zombies, according to definitionaries, zombies are defined as walking dead, and zombies are referred to in Zechariah. All right, so what is the definition of a zombie? Someone who's walking, living dead. All right, so do they talk about living dead in the Bible? Let's see. Zechariah chapter 14 verses 12 reads, and this shall be the plague wherewith the Lord will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet, and their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouths. So they're rotting. That sounds really nasty. So their flesh is consuming as they standing on their feet. So they're walking and deteriorating. All right, the flesh is going away. The mouth is rotting away. The eyes are rotting in its sockets. All right, and that's a very detailed depiction that I have seen in movies. All right, and Matthew chapter 27 verses 20, 27 verses 52 to 53 reads, and the graves were opened, and many bodies of the saints which slept arose and came out of the graves after his resurrection and went into the holy city and appeared to many. All right. So these zombies, I don't know, when they came out the grave, were they decomposed or did they look refreshed? It doesn't really specify, right? It just said that these saints came out. So technically that's a zombie coming out of the graves because they had already died. All right. So you have a zombie, a depiction, which we don't need to show. You know what a zombie looks like, or the rotting flesh. You have it in your imagination. So 272. All of these are found in their Bible, yet they don't believe they ever existed for real. Also, in the Islamic faith of Muslim or Muslim Islamism of the Quran, they speak of a night journey from their holy city, Becca, also known as Mecca, to the Judaism holy city, Jerusalem. Muslims claim that their prophet, Mustafa Muhammad al-Amin, originally called Ahmed ben Abd Allah, was taken on a sky trip and that he rode on the back of what they call a burak. All right. A burak is like a horse with like a human face. All right. Specifically said a woman's face. All right. So that is the depiction of a burak. That's what they say Muhammad rode on. It's described by them as an animal bigger than a donkey, yet smaller than a horse. 276. Yet this unknown creature, their prophet made what called al-miraj, the ascend into heaven, in their hadith book, number 345, volume number 1, and number 429, volume number 4, and number 227, volume number 5 of Sihah al-Bukhari. Sihah al-Bukhari from Quran chapter 70. All right. So if anybody, you see Bible giving a lot of references for people who want to look into it more. Take time if you're not familiar. All right. And look into these things. Cross reference. So you can see that he's not making it up and you're not at the mercy of belief. So now you can also know, all right, what he's talking about. So 277. Note the meaning of the word mirage as the word from mirage. Mirage is deception, image in the atmosphere, such as a lake in the desert, which is not really there, such as an illusion. 278. Also, another chapter is in the Quran, chapter 17, Al-Isra, the going alone with Sar, the root. Sar, the roots. Let me read that again. Also, another chapter in the Quran, chapter 17, Al-Isra, the going alone with Sar, the root. All right. So Isra, you have at the root is Sar. All right. Yet they were mistranslated as Garut, night, journey, or the journey by Garut, night. All right. So it should say Sar, not Garut. So, do Muslims believe in this creature they call Burak, that their prophet Rabuka rode on? It, Layura, flew from Mecca to Jerusalem in one night. He says it was not a dream, yet real. All right, so it says it's not a dream, it's real in that book. So Burak must have been a real flying creature. Let's see where we want to stop today. All right. The second half of this book is my favorite part, which we're going to read in two parts, okay? So we're going to wrap up very soon and read the second part, which is my favorite part. All right. So, okay. So Barak must have been a real flying creature. If you ask a Muslim, a Muslim, do they believe in the Greek creature called Pegasus, created by the sea, created from the sea by Poseidon? That's a winged horse. A flying horse-like creature like Barak, they will say no. All right. So it's a very similar depiction of Barak, except it has a regular horse head instead of a human. All right. 285. Do Muslims could believe in a 90-foot tall Adam? If you ask them, what will they? If you ask them, what will they say to that? Well, according to the hadith called Sahih al-Bukhari, Allah created Adam, making him 60 cubits. All right. So if you know the measurements of 60 cubits, that would equal 90 feet tall. All right. Let's just go by the measurements given in the Bible and also the Quran and also the Hadiths. All right. So 287. The Sahih al-Bukhari is one of the three most trusted collections of Hadith, along with Sahih Muslims of al-Muwatta. There is no reported remains of human bones from 90 feet to wild tall humans. All right. So they haven't found any bones for 90-foot tall humans to have existed. But the Bible and the Quran says so. All right. Also, in the Islamic Zaamat religions and sects, you find Tayaf ghost beings, angels who fly, who take on human form, who fly, who fight alongside Muslims. All right, so they fly, and they also join in wars to fight alongside the Muslims, which the Christians also have depictions like that. All right. 290. Where are they really from? If you ask a Muslim, he or she will say up there, as in the Quran 97, verse 4. The angels and the spirit descend from the angels and the spirit descend therein by permission of their Lord for every matter. If you ask them where it is up there and how far is that place, they don't know. It's by blind faith. All right. I don't know the details of it. I just know a vague story. All right. And I'm going to put my whole life and soul in that vague story. That I have no details. I can't answer none of your questions. All right. So here's a figure. The statue is called Lady of the Rockets in Butts. That's in Montana. It is 90 feet tall. You can clearly see the size comparison of a modern day people. All right. So let's just say if there was an atom that was 60 feet in cubits, this statue is exactly 60 cubits or 90 feet tall. So you can see in scale of what a modern day human will look like. All right. If this is going to be a true depiction. All right. In the Quran, okay, let's go to 291. Belief in a Holy Ghost, which means unholy ghost, belief in human, spirit, demon creatures called jinns, from genie. All the Muslims' Quran in many places. Quran chapter 6, verses 100 through 112. All right. It's a whole chapter. All right. We're going to read different verses about the jinn, and verse 5 saying that they are human beings as well. All right. So Quran chapter 6 verses 100 to 112 reads, but they have attributed to Allah partners, the jinn, while he has created them, and have fabricated for him sons and daughters. Exalted is he, and high above what they describe. And thus we have made for every prophet an enemy, devils from mankind and jinn, aspiring to one another, decorative speech in delusion. But if your Lord had willed, they would not have done it. So leave them and that which they invent. All right. So right in this scripture is saying that this Quran scripture is saying that there's a devil and a jinn for every man created, and they are very deceptive, but they wouldn't have existed if God didn't, or the Lord that created them didn't want them to. So just leave them and let them do their deception. All right, that's essentially. All right, in Quran chapter 15 verses 27, and the jinn we created before from scorching fire. All right, that's the Siha International. All this is read from the Siha International version, 2011. All right. Quran 34 chapter 41 reads, Quran chapter 34 verse 41 reads, and they say, exalted are ye, or exalted are you. You, O Allah, are our benefactor, not them. Rather, they used to worship the jinn. Most of them were believers in them. And Quran 38 verses 37 reads, and also the devil of jinn, every builder and diver. And Quran chapter 46 verses 18, those are the ones upon whom the Lord has come into effect, who will be among nations which had passed on before them of jinn and men. Indeed, they all were losers. In Quran chapter 46, 29, and mentions, O Muhammad, when we directed to you a few of the jinn listening to the Quran, and when they attended it, they said, listen quietly. And when it was concluded, they went back to their people as warners. All right. So this one stands out because the jinn, when supposedly when this Lord gave this Bible, I mean not the Bible, the Quran, all right, to Muhammad, there were jinn listening, all right, and went back to their people to warn them. So there's a whole race of jinn, a whole group of them, all right. So there's an actual physical group of jinn, according to the Quran, all right, which Allah seemed to have created. For what purpose? To deceive. And why would that be? That's just the way Allah wanted it. All right. So he created the jinn from the smokeless of fire, the smokeless flame of fire. Right? Quran chapter 55:33. All right, that was 55:15, where he created the jinn from a smokeless flame of fire. Quran 55:33 reads, O company of jinn and mankind, if you are able to pass beyond the region of heavens and the earth, then pass. You will not pass except by authority from Allah. All right. So the authority to exist is Allah's will that there's jinn, and then there's Allah's will that there's man, and they coexist according to this Bible. All right. I mean, I keep saying Bible, Quran, according to the Quran. Quran 55:39. Then on that day, none will be asked about his sin among men or jinn. All right. So jinn can sin. All right. So that's two different groups. It looks like one group is called jinn and one group is called man. And they're both being judged. All right. So then on the day, none will be asked about his sin among men or jinn. In Quran, chapter 75, verses 1 through 15. All right. We're just going to read 1 through 72, 5 and 6. All right. And we had thought that mankind and the jinn would never speak about Allah and die. And there were men from mankind who sought refuge in men from the jinn. So they only increased them in burden. All right. So you have mankind going to the men from the jinn for refuge. All right. So two distinct group of people. All right. This is the depiction, all right, in Bristol, England, of someone's depiction or artwork that they put of a jinn in a cave of Bristol, England. All right. Did the jinn look like that? I don't know if it was described like that. All right. But that's someone's description, someone's interpretation. All right. So 292. Verse 6 of chapter 72 of the Quran says that human men seek protection from human jinns. All right? Because you heard men of the jinn. All right. So some places jinns are human or in human form, as Rajal, physical man, and other places as spirits who get into the chest of men. In the Quran, chapter 114, verses 5 and 6 reads, who whispers evil into the breasts of mankind from among the jinn and mankind. All right, from among the jinn and mankind. All right, so you have physical explanations of things and you have spiritual explanations of things. So explanations of different densities, all right, in their books. So exactly just what are they? Jinn, also known as genie. If you ask a Muslim or Muslim of Islamism, they don't really know, yet they believe in them. So the Bible and Quranic believers believe in men with wings, as found in Isaiah chapter 6, verses 2 to 6. Reads, above it stood the seraphims, each had 6 wings, and twain he covered his face, and with twain he covered his feet, and with twain he did fly. And one cried unto another and said, holy, holy, holy is the Lord of the hosts, and the whole earth is full of his glory. And the post of the door moved at the voice of him that cried, and the house was filled with smoke. Then said I, woe is me, for I am undone, because I am a man of unclean lips, and I dwell in the midst of a people of unclean lips. And my eyes have seen the King, the Lord of hosts. Then flew one of the seraphim unto me, having a live coal in his hands, which he had taken with the tongs from off the altar. Hebrew Strong's number 8314. Saraf or Saraf, meaning kindle, fire, burn, fiery, burning, kindle, fiery, burning. All right. 296. Yeah, Isaiah chapter 6, verses 2 through 7 says they can fly. They have 6 wings. All right. So you see a depiction. One was covering the face, one was covering the feet, one is expanding this way. All right. So they can't be evil, and this coal could not be hot. All right. Oh, I skipped something. So 297. 2 to cover their face, 2 to cover their feet, and 2 to fly with. Holding live coal in their hands, taken from the altar with his tongue, and put it in the person's mouth to take away all his sins. All right. So it's carrying that hot coal that it picks up with its mouth, and then puts it in the mouth of the person to take away the person's sins. All right. So they can't be evil, and this coal cannot be hot. All right. And for those of us who take activated charcoal, it's very interesting because activated charcoal is known to remove contaminants. All right. They can use charcoal to, like, if you have certain poisoning, they can give you activated charcoal, or if you're doing any type of cleansing. All right. So that's how you can use activated charcoal, which would be similar to coal. All right. It helps to remove contaminants. So that's what this is being depicted as doing with the coal. All right. So their fire is illumination, and they are the shining ones. Yet the word Saraf means fiery serpent. Hebrew Strong's number 8314, and were considered majestic beings. And according to Genesis, Gesenius lexicon, with flying dragons. So Sabians, the Musrafu, the serpents are considered good beings and fly, and the Mukrabu, that's the cherubims, are considered evil beings according to the Bible. All right. Now this isn't, just to note, this isn't necessarily things that we subscribe to, but it's also holding the records, and let's look, well, according to these records, what do the records say? So why does it differ from what the people are saying? All right. So both are called angels. Both take on human forms, and they therefore believe in men with wings. In the Quran, chapter 35, verses 1. All praise is due to Allah, creator of the heavens and the earth, who made the angel messengers having wings, 2 or 3 or 4. He increased the creation, that which he wills. Indeed, Allah is all over all things, competent. All right. So now it sounds like a genetic scientist, but he can't be that competent because there's defects, all right, that we still are seeing as of today. So if you're competent, then you're thinking of something being efficacious. So if things are, if you're competent, you do your job well, it's efficacious, it's functional, all right? So I can't really say that this would be a competent creation versus, therefore it can't be a competent creator, all right? But that's what the Bible says, all right? And that's what also the Quran says. All right. So 302. They believe in devils, diablos, or diabolos. Diabolos is the Greek Strong's number, 1228. and Sayur, that's the Hebrew Strong's number, 8163, all through their Bible and Quran. All right. So the Abalos is Greek. So now when you hear Spanish, that's actually a Greek word when they say diablos. It's diabolos in Greek. So in Satan or Satan, Hebrew Strong's number 7854. Also, all through their Bible and Shaitan in the Quran, chapter 15, verses 17. And moreover, we have guarded them from every cursed devil. 303. Ghosts or spirits of the dead, those who conjure up familiar spirits, such as Yadayai. Let's see. Yadayai. Okay, Yadayani. All right, that's a Hebrew word, Yadayani, meaning wizard. Yadayani, Hebrew Strong's number, 3049. As in 2 Chronicles, chapter 15, verses 1. And the Spirit of God came upon Azariah, the son of Oded. In Leviticus chapter 19, verses 31. Regard not them, they have familiar spirits, neither seek after wizards to be defiled by them. All right. So it would have been Yadiyane if you were reading it in Hebrew. All right. So neither seek after wizards to be defiled by them. I am the Lord your God. And Leviticus chapter 20, verses 6. And the soul that turneth after such as have familiar spirits, and after wizards to go a whoring after them. I will even set my face against that soul, and will cut him off from amongst his people. And in Zechariah chapter 4, verses 1, and the angel that talked with me came again and waked me, as a man that waketh out of his sleep. Isaiah chapter 29, verses 4. And thou shalt be brought down, and shalt speak out of the ground, and thy speech shall be low out of the dust, and thy voice shall be as one that hath a familiar spirit out of the ground, and thy speech shall whisper out of the dust, specter, family, or spirits. All right. Then they put some depictions of different type of specters. 304. So they accept all kind of munmaku freaks and kayayats, creatures, as hakek, real and existing. All right. So we just dispelled all the things that they would like to dismiss, when in actuality their holy books depict it. All right, and recognize it. All right. So 305. Even human bashar, human flesh. All right. Bashar is flesh, human flesh. Eaters, cannibalism, as in Leviticus 26, verse 29 reads, and ye shall eat the flesh of your daughters, and ye shall eat the flesh of your sons, and the flesh of your daughters shall ye eat. Lamentations chapter 4, verses 10. The hands of the pitiful woman have sodden their own children. They were their meat in the destruction of the daughters of my people. All right. So sodomy, to beat their own children and then eat them. Deuteronomy 28, verses 53. And thou shalt eat the fruit of thy own body, the flesh of thy sons and of thy daughters, which the Lord thy God hath given thee, in the siege and in the straitness, wherewithin thy enemies shall distress thee. 2 Kings chapter 6, verses 28 and 29. And the king said unto her, what aileth thee? And she answered, this woman said unto me, give thy son, and we may eat him today, and we will eat my son tomorrow.
So we boiled my son and did eat him. And I said unto her the next day, give thy son, that we may eat him. And she had hid her son. All right. So these two women made an agreement that today we'll cook my son and eat him today. And tomorrow we'll eat your son. But the second lady, she ate the first lady's son. And then when it was time to eat her son, she went and hid him. All right. And Ezekiel chapter 5, verses 10. Therefore the fathers shall eat the sons in the midst of thee, and the sons shall eat their fathers, and I will execute judgment in thee, and the whole remnant of thee I will scatter into all the winds. All right. So the fathers are going to eat the sons are going to eat the fathers. There's going to be a judgment upon those people, but then those peoples, they will scatter, and the remnants will scatter in the wind, so across the rest of the earth. All right. Into the winds. So into the north, south, west, east. All right. 306. Their God deity taught them to do as they did, eat human beings, as this is found in their holy scriptures. All right. So they even have cloned human meat. I was looking because I like to follow food stuff. I stopped watching food stuff because I was like, it's doing stuff to my DNA. So I stopped watching all the shows I used to watch. But one of the shows I was watching, it was like they took a sample of the person's leg, took it to a lab, and cloned the meat, and then made a steak for the person, and the person ate it, their own leg. All right. So they're doing this, and they're trying to have ethical for people who are interested in cannibalism. They're trying to find, quote unquote, even though they're already doing it, they're already doing unethical cannibalism. They're trying to find ethical ways that they can have cannibalism, and they're saying that, well, if we do cloning, that would be considered ethical, and there shouldn't be any reason why we can't put that in the market. All right. So here is cannibalism, all right, that is practiced more than we would like to admit, right, throughout the world. Especially like there was a Great Depression in Russia. I was watching a documentary, and it was really bad. And when was that? I forgot the year. Sometime maybe in the 40s, sometime between like the 40s or something like that. And the people, cannibalism went up. The people were eating each other. But all the feed the children commercials that they have depicted in Africa, no matter how skinny they're getting, that's not really a thing in Africa where they're running around eating each other. There might be some cannibalistic tribes, but it's not abundant in that culture or their DNA like it is in other cultures and DNA. All right. So it's like on the third day of not being able to eat, they're already eating each other. All right. And I'm just thinking like if I got stranded on a mountain somewhere, and it's like, okay, a week passed and they're already eating each other. I'm like, I could fast longer than that, you know? So it's already in the DNA to want to eat it. All right. So 307. For 6,000 years, they used legends, folk tales, stories, traditions, fables, fairy tales, and little white lies, quote unquote, little white lies, to deceive and mislead people. All right. You ask them, do they think do they think unicorns, which are horse with one horn, really exists? Know that this is only in stories, fairy tales taught to them by their Celtic Carangenes or fairies of the Corid dwarves, called by the Celtic or Celtics, leprechauns. All right, the Caranges. All right, they're dwarves, the leprechauns. All right. Yet in their own Bible, you read or you find unicorn in John you find unicorn in Job chapter 39 verses 10, and in Numbers chapter 23 verses 22, and chapter 24 verses 8, and Deuteronomy chapter 33 verses 14, and in Psalms chapter 93 verses 10. 3:10. So yes, if they believe in every word of their Bible, then they believe in unicorns as found outside the Bible. 3:11. You believe that the first Adam was created from the ground, dust, mud, clay, had no mother, so he had no 9 months in the womb and no navel. And if Adam had no mother and no navel, and Eve was taken out of one of his ribs, then Eve also had no navel. 3:13. And fairies that fly around as balls of light, orbs, with magic powers. 3:14. Aya Marura Musbatu, my beloved Sabians. If you ask them, do they believe in Satan or Shaitan, the devil, they will say yes. Then when you say, what about the religion of Satan, called Satanism, witchcraft, or Wiccanism? They will say yes. And if you say, have you heard about the symbol of Satanism, the 5-pointed star pointed downward, called the pentagram, from the Greek penta, meaning 5, most would say yes. A 5-pointed pentagram, upside down, inside a circle, with 5 Hebrew letters around it. The pointed star associated with Satan. All right, so the Levi Strong's number the Levi Strong's number 3878-80 means join to Levi Atan. All right, or Levi Atan. Tanan. Hebrew Strong's number is dragon. So Levi Atan. So join to the dragon. All right. Join to dragon. All right. The Tananu. All right. Those beings from Dracos. All right. Who go in and get into the genetics of others. All right. So they use the symbol with his name in 5 letters. In Satanism or Wiccanism, the Celtic ancient Zam religion of witches and warlocks in Europe, which became Gnosticism, and his 5 books, or the Pentateuch, the first 5 books of the Bible. All right, so now you see why that number is sacred. It goes back to the Wiccan. All right, so why we have the first 5 holy books of the Bible. All right, which is Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, which became Jesusism, and his 5 books of the Old English Gospel, or the Good News, which is Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and then Revelation, which became the Evangelist and the Holy Pentecost. All right, again, Greek, the Pentecost, the 50th day, Acts, chapter 2, verses 1, which became Mohammedanism and his Safa book, Quran, and their 5 pillars of faith in Al-Islam, Arab religion, which is 1, believe in Allah only, 2, keep up prayer, 3, fast Ramadan, 4, pay zakat, poor rate, and 5, pilgrimage to Mecca. All right, which became the Shahadats, or the Shahada, or the Kamsusa, or the Shadats, the 5 witnesses of faith. All right. All right. Kamsutas Sahad, 5 witnesses of faith. All right. So you see how this Mosesism, Mohammedism, Jesusism, All right. It also ties into the Celtics or the Celtic religion. All right. Of their Wiccanism. All right. So 318. Each use 5-pointed star in their religion in Mosesism. It's called the Seal of Solomon, along with the 6-pointed star called the Shield of David. In Christism or Jesusism, they used a 5-pointed star and called the Star of Bethlehem, the bright and morning star in Revelations chapter 22, verses 16. And in Islamism, they used a 5-pointed star and crescent moon. All right, you could refer to sex, minds, and slaves. That's the actual fact number 26. You can also refer to actual fact 108. That is the proof by way of Paa Yaanun. All right, we either read those scrolls or we will read them. All right, and record it. So, what do they really Lakun teach is Satanism, yet don't Aruf know it. All right. So I think that's a great place for us to end for today. And we're going to go more into the details tomorrow. I mean, not tomorrow. The day after tomorrow, we're gonna come back together, right? And we're going to come back again the day after tomorrow to finish the scroll. Because we're going to tie into how is it's going to bring us into modern times. All right. And where certain traits coming from. All right. And how certain genetics came together. All right. So we're going to get the facts behind all these questions that was posed. All right. So I appreciate everybody taking the time to come together today to read our scroll. And we'll see each other right day after tomorrow, same time. That being said, Ashuk and Wadu.